Previously on the Wasteland, three friends entered a world of bad Simpsons episodes and came out the other side completely fucking crazy. What'll happen this time? Fuck knows.
The Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast. Coming out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, HD Wasteland. Hello everybody, I am your host Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joining me today is BT Calloway.
I'm me?
And Jordan Frost.
I'm currently sane.
That will all change later. So normally this is the podcast where we review three Simpsons episodes, three different decades, but because the classic era of the show has less episodes than both the teens and the HD era, we do have to do a few catch-up podcasts, and this is what this is today. Longtime fans of the show will remember that last year we had our two-part Teenage Wasteland special podcast where we did 7 of the blandest episodes from the teens era. And now we've got the Wasteland band back together, and today we are going to focus on the HD era, and this time we're going to attempt to do 8 episodes in one sitting.
Yes.
8 episodes? That's
Yeah.
one more than last time. Is he crazy?
I know. But you know, last time we weren't really sure what we were getting ourselves into. We started late. This time we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I've come dressed like a gentleman, expecting to descend.
I'm fully hydrated.
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen at home, BT Calloway's outfit is on point.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a very nice jacket and some very theme-appropriate Simpsons pins. I see Mr. Sparkle there.
Yeah. Pin pals. What else I got?
Itchy and scratchy.
Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
As with last time as well, I've selected a handful of episodes, but I wanted to leave it up to a bit of random chance about which order we do them in. So, BT, our Dungeon Master, BT aka DM.
Nice.
Batacadum.
Yep.
So, what dice are you working with today?
I'm working with my level up dice, aluminum or aluminium, Sith colored. They're black, they're red, they're beautiful. But let's see. With them a D8, let's give it a roll. Number 8.
Oh, wow, we're starting with the most recent one. So this will be
Great.
The Last Traction Hero. This is actually exciting because I haven't seen this episode.
No. That doesn't happen.
I know. When I was selecting the episodes, I was going through, and then this one in my index, they usually have a little ranking, and then this one was watch.
Wow.
No, I'm
Nice.
like, oh, well, why not today? So,
We're starting off thrilling because when you get to that play count, how many times you watch this episode question, we're going to be even for once.
But you still won't have beaten him.
No, I won't.
All right, guys, we'll be back. All right, we have ventured into the Wasteland. We have taken our first steps with Season 28, Episode 9, The Last Traction Hero. First released in December of 2016, directed by Bob Anderson, written by Bill Odenkirk. In this episode, Homer injures his back pretty badly in Mr. Burns' trapdoor and is at home with Marge a lot, who he is just a complete piece of shit towards. And in the B story, Lisa is the new bus monitor, but finds that keeping the kids in line is pretty hard. Guys, what'd you think?
Some interesting ideas that just caught fire.
Yeah. There were even some jokes that we laughed at.
Yeah.
Yeah?
But, man, you're like, fuck you guys. Like, why
I
you gotta
know.
write like that? It's like just
Oh,
really rude a lot of the time.
I think rude is a good term for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, at least there's a bit of fire in the Wasteland at the moment. We can just warm ourselves a little.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I've got a lot of hate for this episode.
There's a lot to hate, and I think...
BT, for better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
I'm going to start on something I really liked, which turned into something I really didn't like, which is I like the Smithers and Marge kind of bond over being people who care for people who are kind of dicks.
Yeah.
That was an interesting turn, and I like their developing friendship. They cocked it up. I lost it completely. The second Marge goes, oh my God, I want to kiss him now. It's like, for fuck's sake!
Yeah.
Can you not consider Marge anything other than someone who either has to have a romantic relationship? She even knows he's gay.
Yeah.
And it's like, why does she get attracted to... I appreciate that she's getting what she wants from him emotionally, but why does that translate to wanting to kiss him? That makes no sense. And then the read from Smithers from that is, oh, she's getting attracted to me, I better leave. It's... Later on, they change gears to it's this conflict between the relationship he's enjoying with the newfound friendship and the conflict with Mr. Burns wants him to get home to sign the waiver, that business and personal life conflict. That makes sense, but they don't push that originally. They originally push, it seems like Smithers is uncomfortable because he feels like Marge's getting attracted to him, so he leaves, and it's just, it ruined it so badly.
I think the fact that they don't resolve it in any way, and at the
No.
end, Marge is like, see you next Thursday.
Yeah.
And
So they're friends again,
Yeah.
and there's still this unaddressed sexual tension
Yeah.
that Homer's kind of aware of.
he absolutely knows.
Marge says Smithers' name after sex.
Yeah.
He knows about it.
And he's like the kind of callous jerk that'd be like, oh my God, she's getting her emotional needs fulfilled elsewhere, and she's just using me for sex. I'm the luckiest man alive. And you're like,
Many times I flipped off this episode. That was one.
And the concept that, she finally has a friend, and even if your partner is your best friend, you still need someone else you can talk to about them, because there are going to be things every now and then you need to talk about. And so I like that concept, Smithers and Marge become friends, but they just cocked it up so badly.
Yeah.
The sexual tension is just such bullshit, lowest fucking writing that, Marge can't be anything else but a fucking sexual object. It's shitty.
It upsets me more because it makes sense that they would be friends. Like,
I
they would.
really love that concept.
They like the same things. They've got similar things to bitch about. And there is that one scene where, like, do you think, we're just staying them because we're afraid of the change and that kind of thing? But then they just drop the subject almost immediately. And and it made sense. Like when Homer and Wiggum became kind of friends, you're like, why hasn't that happened before? Because it makes sense that they would hang out together. But and then it just blew its...
But my big problem with that is as well that it really highlights how much of a piece of shit Homer is and how irredeemable he actually is, where the final conflict being resolved by him not suing Burns because it'll mean they be friends, it doesn't hold any water for me.
It was weak sauce. And there was getting to Homer being that big of a jerk, you could just say he's just incredibly frustrated because he can't move.
Yeah.
I always have that degree of sympathy when you meet someone who is either has some kind of handicap or something like that, and you try to be nice to them, they're kind of a jerk back. You're like, well, I realize you're dealing with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But the fact that they didn't push that, they only kind of have some jokes about him not being able to reach some things, while Marge is being an absolute angel. Just joke I did like just very quickly is when she makes that mobile with donuts and beer and
a picture of Mo.
A picture of Mo.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
And then they did the callback as well later where Marge, when she's injured, she's got her own as well.
Yep.
That was fun.
Which had an iron attached to it as well. I'm like, is that because she really likes ironing?
She
and it's like,
does.
like a baby. These things are cute.
How about you, Jordan? What's a moment that stands out to you for better or worse?
I was about to say, and then it blew its brains out, because that was the quote that I was thinking about. I think the thing that stood out to me was how awful Homer was, considering how nice Marge had been to him and everything, and like getting him noise-cancelling headphones so he doesn't need to listen to his dad and all this other kind of stuff. And then he says, Marge, I love you, but the thought of spending time with you makes me want to blow my brains out.
It's fucking horrible.
That last bit is not paraphrased. That's literally what he says. And I'm like...
He says, blow my brains out. It's fucking horrible.
What a piece of crap. Like, honestly, this woman does everything for you. And you're frustrated, but like... Just have some fucking decency.
I wish Marge kind of turned around on him at some point and goes, look at everything I'm trying to do to make you happy right now, you cunt.
Yeah, so that was the
exactly.
problem. Like, saying, I'm really not interested in doing a puzzle, I just want to, recuperate on my own or something like that would be fine. But he says, spending time with you, not even the concept of spending time with you doing a boring puzzle.
Well, doing the things that she wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
Because he said...
your idea of fun,
Because she's folded up all her yarn and using him as a kind of like a spool, I guess, and things like that. And he could just say, hey, look, there's like a football game on. Can we watch that? Do something I want to do? Like, you don't need to go full
because
disgusting husband.
It seems less like he's frustrated and tired of being unable to move and is taking it out on her, and seems more like he's just being honest and saying, I just hate spending time with you, I always have, and it's just coming out now because I can't move.
That's fucked.
It really is fucked.
So the moment from the story that stood out to me was the Lisa story and how fucking nothing it was.
Yeah.
It seemed to only be there for that reference, which, Beach, you were saying it's an Apple ad or something?
Yeah, they go into Lisa's dream sequence when she takes total control of the bus, and it's a reference to an Apple ad from the 80s that was referencing 1984.
Yeah, so we've seen this before in like Family Guy, and Futurama did it when they had the stock business guy.
Yeah, it's popped up every now and then.
Yeah.
I will say I did like a bit where they come out of the fantasy sequence and Lisa's like, my first PG-13 fantasy.
Oh, really?
I did like that because, Bart throws the bat at the screen, it bounces off and knocks his head off, which was kind of dumb, but I do like she was pleasantly surprised that her fantasies have evolved into being a bit more mature.
Yeah, but I thought there was actually something interesting about Dolph and Nelson fighting over a seat, something that could split the bullies up. And then it was just this vehicle for that reference, and then there's a fucking half-baked point about her trying not to be so much of a know-it-all at the end.
Yeah, which didn't feel earned at all, because they're all meant to be angry at her for this new seating arrangement where no one was fighting or even talking, and it didn't feel like they were angry at her for being smart, just organizing them. And and again, it came so close, because there's a bit where Milhouse talks about how we fight on the bus because this is a place where we can be ourselves between school where we have to obey rules and home where we have to obey rules, and that's why it's chaos, and we need that chaos. I really like that as idea. They did not fucking follow through with it.
I think as well, the fighting was so contrived from the very beginning. It was Milhouse sitting in Dolph's seat, was it?
Yeah, Dolph was the one who wanted him to move, but first of all, Milhouse was sitting next to Nelson, which just
doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. Wouldn't happen. And then Milhouse is able to duck out because he claims asthma and 4 eyes. So then Dolph and Nelson are fighting, and that doesn't really make sense.
Because he swings a punch and hits Nelson accidentally, but then...
Oh, is that the thing? Okay.
Yeah, but before that, Dolph goes, hey, you're sitting in my seat, and everyone around them all goes, fight! Fight! I'm like, where did this come from? Like, is it...
To be fair, in school, anytime there was any kind of raised voice, is there a fight?
Yeah.
Are we fighting?
Let's shout fight until there is one.
Yeah, we used to do that. We used to get in a circle, and the best one we did, we put rock, paper, and scissors in the middle of a circle, and the kids stood around it and started going, fight, 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 fight. Teachers came to break it up, and I was like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so play count. How many times before today have you seen this episode?
This is the only time.
Me also.
Me too. And I'm so glad I didn't need to.
No.
How about a couple of wacky moments that stood out to you guys?
The trapdoor itself was stupid as fuck. Trapdoor works so much better when you don't know where it goes.
Yeah.
It's way funnier. It's way more interesting. And occasionally when they've pulled it out and been like, yeah, you just dropped us in the room below. It's fine.
Yeah.
There was a cushy landing. Or, sir, try to land on Leonard's carcass. It's way funnier. But to actually see that it's this really deep pit that would obviously kill people, and there's all these workmen and random bits. It did not work for me in the slightest.
I'm trying to make... Because Burns' office is quite high up in the building, right?
Yep.
There's obviously a big shaft on all the other floors below where it's like, oh, that must be the trapdoor floor because it looks vast when you're falling down and there's all the rock strata and everything. So they've obviously cut deep into the earth.
But yeah, it was just this extended falling bit with no good jokes. And this was actually the one thing I didn't like about the other week we reviewed Bart the Fink. And when Krusty jumps from the plane and when he crashes, he falls sideways into a rock.
Yeah.
When, I don't know how propulsion works, but that wouldn't happen. And the same thing here. He falls sideways into a mosaic and then goes, mosaic. Fuck.
Well, but the difference there is we've seen him fall directly down for a long time, and then he goes sideways, and then he goes down again.
But he does hit his head on a couple of pipes, and it makes me wonder, does it make him start spinning or something, and then... But still, no, it doesn't work like that.
It didn't work for me either.
The whole fall that he survives that is he's a god.
Oh,
again.
And then it fucking ends with that whole concrete cement. It
was dumb as shit.
It's actually concrete, of which cement is a part.
Fuck you. Sorry.
Although the only bit I did like about that is that you see the two gators just getting lowered down beside him. They're obviously for use later in the pit.
Oh, right.
That was fine.
Yeah, I was going to say right before that, so this starts off with Homer running around using all of Mr. Burns' stuff.
Yeah.
Simpsons did it!
Yeah. First of all, Simpsons did it. Second of all, there's this long bit where all these tiki heads and robotic birds come out and start singing.
That's from Disney. That's from
figured
Disney
as much,
World, the
but it
tiki
goes
room.
on so long.
Yeah. Have you ever been on that ride?
No.
Oh, God. It's 15 minutes and you're like, please let me out of this fucking room. Jesus Christ. And it's just like that for 15 minutes. And just
And that's terrible, but why would you recreate it in animation if you didn't have to?
What bugs me about this bit as well is that it divides this opening montage in half.
Yeah.
It's really weird. They have one montage, the Tiki Birds bit, and then they have a second stab at the montage.
Yeah.
Ultimately, this was, a minute and a half of...
just fill.
I think it was supposed to be the one montage because it cuts straight back into where the music left off. But the other wacky bit was they're pressing themselves in that kind of steam iron.
Yeah, that steam cube where your head sticks out the top of it.
Yeah, that was in Futurama.
Yeah, but so Homer, he has the volume to make up that kind of...
Yeah, but Lenny and Carl
are not that
so
big.
So they've been inflated.
Yeah.
But so the episode where they take Zoidberg back to his home planet for
Yeah, mating.
Yeah, that joke is in there. That's a Jim thing.
Which character does it, though?
It's not one of the main cast. It's Amy's hitting on someone that's sitting in a sweatbox, and he opens the door, and then he is that shape, and she's like, ooh.
That just implies he was always that shape. That's a different joke. It's not inflating a character to fit that space.
Yeah.
And squishing them into a... Yeah.
Yeah, and being that Bill Odenkirk, the writer, also worked on Futurama, it makes me fucking extra angry at this fucking recycling. Any other quick wacky moments?
The tarantula bit really kind of
was
bugged
dumb
me.
as shit, yeah.
Okay, Homer was a cunt, but also Bart was a cunt in this episode. He was just fucking torturing his father.
Yeah, for context, he shoves something down the back of Homer's cast, which is kind of like a half-body cast.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, what was that? What was that? And he goes, well, might have been a bit of thread, might have been a tarantula. See ya, I'm going to millhouses. And then Homer is shaking and a bit of thread falls out and he's like, oh, fine. And then it stays on him and I think we all went, oh, God, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. And then a tarantula calls out and gets on his head.
And he's like, but how? Like, fucking hell.
What the hell?
Yeah. And the joke before of Bart going, I wrote something, what'd you write? I wrote something, it starts with F, ends with CK, and it just said, Father, good luck.
Yeah, and it's so stupid. I thought it was literally going to say, oh, don't worry about it. So when he's like, what does it say? Don't worry about it.
That's
but what
a joke.
Does mine say? Sweet.
What about mine? Dude.
Yeah, because when we were watching the episode, I called out when he said, starts with F, ends in CK, fire truck. At least that would have made Father Good Luck isn't a sentence.
They could have even
or at least put a comma in there. Father, comma, good luck.
It could have
it's
even
so unimaginative. Sorry,
made it UCK because luck ends in UCK.
Yeah, that stood out to me. Yeah, I was like, oh, they probably had to censor that because that was the fucking line or something.
So I did have another quick wacky. The one I did like is when Smithers is pouring tea and he's like, it's so nice to pour tea for someone that I don't have to then help chew.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate because there were a few good lines in this episode.
I did like sedated quails.
Yeah, the sedated quails at the
They
start.
just went waddling out and falling over.
Yeah.
It did go a little too far where they had to add extra ether to one.
Yeah.
And then he fires the shotgun and skips across the lake.
Oh, yeah. Damn you, surface tension. Yeah, that was the joke that I was thinking
There was
of.
another one. He referenced Three Finger Brown of the New York Tip Tops. It was actually the Brooklyn. I had to look it up. It was the Brooklyn Tip Tops. They were from the defunct Federal League in 1914 to 1915. There was a guy called Three Finger Brown, and he did have three fingers. You can kind of see his hand there.
Wow.
Huh.
And he was a pitcher as well.
Oh, wow.
Not a belly itcher?
Mordecai Brown was his name. Real person. So there you go.
And yeah, it's kind of a bit wacky, but with the cake that was also the legal document, I
got to
really loved the joke here where he was like, all right, chew here, nibble there, have a lick here, and also your wife needs to eat this cupcake.
Yeah, I got a laugh out of that.
It was good. But how about some of the heart moments of this episode?
Again, briefly, I really like that Smithers Marge stuff, but it just ruined it so badly. The heart has been replaced with angry faces.
Yeah. I guess there was something sweet about Homer and Marge being united in their attractions together at the end of the episode.
Yeah, but he was so much of a dick before it didn't feel resolved. So by then, I'm just so burnt out on Fury that I don't care.
Well, that's it. And I also get the internal logic of Homer giving up the lawsuit to sacrifice for Marge, but it also doesn't feel like that was the point of the episode, so it wasn't really satisfying to me.
The end, it doesn't redeem it enough.
No.
The bit where Homer's like, oh, look, I'll try talking to you, but I'm not going to be very good the first couple of times. And Marge is like, oh, it's fine. It's like baking and everything, And I was like, okay, that's kind of sweet, but why are you forgiving him so easily when he's done awful, awful things?
Yep.
Well, that's it. And it should have been more of a point. Like, I think this episode could be improved if it was either Marge was doting over Homer too much and he's like, I appreciate this, but please find a life outside me.
A little smothery.
I've got my own interests that you don't have. What are you without me? And if it was Marge questioning that, I would have really liked that.
I was thinking about, like, if it was Marge already kind of has to look after the house because she's so kind of anal about doing the housework to
Marge's anal housework.
To the nth degree, like doing everything, and then throw on top of that like this guy who can't look after himself, can't wipe his own ass.
Yeah.
I thought maybe that would be some of the conflict around, like, she's getting stressed out and she's getting fed up with having to look after essentially two babies and one who openly verbally abuses her at the same time.
Oh, jumping on that, man. And if it was Marge and Smithers, discovering that they do get an emotional release with talking with each other, but Homer gets jealous, then that way you haven't fucking reduced to making Marge a sexual object, which is just so gross and ruins the heart.
I was going to say, have them being friends, but have it the fact that he's loyal to Mr. Burns, that's the conflict, and then your resolution is something in amongst that. You can do something else with it and land it so much better.
Definitely. Ultimately, though, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Fuck no.
Nah.
Just a hastily pasted together mishmash of stuff.
Yeah, I'd say integrity's all over the place on this one.
I think Lisa is probably the most on point, where she figures out the logical way to, if everyone has this exact seating arrangement, they'll be peaceful.
Yeah, but then also, like, her plans for, like, the rest of the stuff as well. And then, a bit wacky, she starts wearing that kind of It
Yeah.
looks like from Equilibrium.
Yeah,
that
I was about to
suit,
say that
that
authoritarian
green-
sci-fi
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
I'd actually say that it's not so much that the characters are breaking integrity, but they're leaning into the worst parts of their characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're not doing it in a way where any of them get redeemed at the end. But yes or no, would you watch it again?
Oh, hells no.
No, I'm all right.
Does this deserve to be in the Wasteland?
Absolutely. It's so many crimes of just getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Got a couple of quick anal corners if you want to care.
Couple of quick anal corners.
Couple of quick anal corners.
Homer drives in. There's the whole very, very long gag about him trying to find parking spots and everything. And then he gets to, oh, it's spot, and pulls in. Because you can't park there, it's Mr. Burns. And then suddenly Mr. Burns' sign appears
Yep.
there, and it definitely wasn't there in the previous shot.
Definitely. I will say in that bit, I liked the sinkhole gag, but every other fucking car parking gag was shit.
Yeah, he shouldn't be upset at a spot hogging SUV when we've seen him park across 3 disabled spots in one go.
It's different when you do it.
Okay. Lisa shows the film of the fight to Skinner.
Yep.
She was not filming from the start. We see her turn around going,
Yep.
She wasn't filming. And also, if she was filming it, it's from some impossible angle up in the roof.
Yeah.
But instead the footage has Milhouse running away and she wasn't there for that.
She wasn't there for that.
Also, just while we're there, I kind of like the joke about Skinner's crank phone that he had.
Yeah.
But then, we see in a scene later that he's got a normal phone.
So,
and it's
good
like,
one, guys.
fuck you.
Way
Why?
to have no memory episode.
Yep. Bart's graffiti is just gone. Like, they could have at least had some red scroll on Homer's chest for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
And also, there's just no mention of the fact that Homer just gets out of his cast by the end of it.
I fucking hated that because,
Oh, yeah.
they start that sex scene. He's very much in the cast, and he said earlier that this is going to be a 3-month thing,
Yep.
and then just, oh no, he's out of the cast and he's fine now.
Yep. But now he's back in because he fell down some stairs. Up.
Fuck.
They don't even mention it. That's the annoying thing. They don't even say, like, well, today's the day, or...
I just got out of my task in time for trial. You know.
If horny Marge fronts up to Homer and he's like, hey Marge, I can get out of my cast. My bones are all better. Well, I'm about to jump them.
Yeah. Although
I did have one I wanted to pick up on, which is when Marge is like, oh, I know you can't move to help me do this puzzle, but I have this grid, and it's like the alphabet and then 1 to 30. That's not enough grid squares for a 5,000-piece puzzle.
I think it was supposed to
If
be
it-
like...
unless it then subdivides.
It's like it's in this square of 15 by 30 or something, you know?
And this section just lasted so long, and
It
you're
really
like,
did.
who has ever done this and ever thought it was fun? And fuck it, I'm gonna say fuck so much today.
Yeah, the Spankin' Bank as well.
Yeah, I was about to bring that
Spunk and
up.
Bunk and fuck
Yeah.
hell.
With a Casablanca fantasy, it's like, oh, well, just put this in your spankin' bank. And like, again, I don't want to think about Simpsons characters you can suggest sexual scenes, but you can't have the language of them, I feel.
Well,
There's something
not
different.
sexual scene. Like, we think Marge is like, oh, it's a snuggle movie or whatever. Like, that's cute. But I don't want to think about Homer yanking it.
Yeah. To put it simply, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've already said what I'd change about this episode, and I'm satisfied with this, so I'll throw it to you guys. BT, what would you change?
I think we've covered it. Just learn how to write a fucking episode about characters. What the
Yeah.
fuck? Like, so many ideas really could have worked if they were just developed and changed into something that people would actually do. And just have Marge and Smithers keep as friends. Not this sexual tension was fucking pointless. Like the Lisa storyline, the bus goes through a tunnel and all of a sudden it's total anarchy. If they had a bit about you haven't fixed everything, you're just suppressing the pressure and it's going to burst, it would have felt a lot more earned. And then, And, keep it as, no, we need the bus to be chaos because that's where we blow off steam and that's important.
Well, Milhouse does say that. It's like
He does,
says,
but they said it after everything. They didn't say it before to establish that as the problem.
True. Although I did like his line of, it's a bit of chaos between the twin nightmares of home and school.
Yeah.
You're like, poor Milhouse. Poor his
fucking
home
hell.
life. Yeah.
How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, just kind of what I said before. Like, you could have that storyline and it's fine. But don't introduce like a kind of a romance. It's so rote. It's so by rote, and it's really a stereotype, and I'm bored of that kind of story. And Marge deserves better.
Yeah, this is a repeat of a lot of the problems we had with The Devil Wears Nada, where just all of a sudden she's infatuated with Flanders, and it's fucked.
Yeah.
Indeed, it's fucked.
Guest stars of the episode, it was only Kevin Michael Richardson again, but he does a good job, but the lawyer character was so nothing.
Yeah.
He didn't have anything fun to do.
And the ad was okay, and I kind of liked the 555 joke. They overstepped it way too much with Homer going, duh, what's the number?
Did you like the list of things that you could have been injured at?
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty good. And I wrote down, because I kind of liked, I did a Rod viewing party, because I'm imagining people sitting around watching dog sledding, like on, like in a major
And someone
function
gets
area.
hurt and is
But yeah, all we got of him was that one ad, and then Homer coming to him for counsel after he had this problem, which sucked because I think you needed another scene with Homer.
You need an establishing scene with him first, yeah.
Yeah, that he's hired him for these services to sue Mr. Burns.
Homer, I think I can get you $80 million. Like something like that, you know?
Yeah. The joke of Sue I liked, but then that fucking flag.
Yeah, they just overstated again.
Fucking hell. All right, so let's express through some final notes, BT, to start us off.
I'm going to start with the one I liked, which is when Skinner is giving Lisa all the responsibility of dealing with the bus, and Chalmers walks by and goes, Skinner, you can't give that to a 6-year-old. I'm 8. Oh, we'll carry on.
I hated it.
Really? It was quick and it was done. I got a little chuckle out of it. And then the part I hated was when Smithers leaves the cake with the contract on it and is like, yeah, just take it home, it's fine. And then Grandpa's like, oh, I'll take this to the seniors' home.
Fucking hell.
But then Homer goes, typical. It's like, it's typical for your father to take a contract cake home with him. Why? That makes no sense.
And then he goes, oh, I dropped it in the background.
Yeah. I liked none of the material with Grandpa in this episode.
They just injected him into scenes randomly and he just didn't do things.
The only part I did like was a Homer line about him where he's got his mobile and stuff. He goes, you're taking care of everything apart from one nagging detail.
Yeah.
And it was him nagging.
Yeah.
Him.
And then, they followed it up
wordplay.
with the noise cancellation headphones gag, which that should have been Grandpa wackiness, but it was not really anything.
No, that was weird. I thought it was going to be the old sliding closed door where you only see his actions. You have to kind of imagine the joke of what he's talking about from said actions. It just doesn't do that. He's just talking, and you don't hear him, and that's the bit.
He makes some very just innocuous gestures, and you're like, oh, that could mean anything.
Yeah.
And then, the joke that they left Marge and Homer's story on where he spills soups on them after doing the really dragged out and shaky thing. First of all, watching an old person do this is just sad. It's not funny. And then the subtitle, it said, this happened...
3 times a day for the next 6 months.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
I just want to clarify, there is a funny time when it does happen. Which is when you're playing Tomb Raider 1 for PlayStation. That
specific.
When you're in the manor,
and
you've got that butler and he follows you around and he's kind of shaky and everything. And if you get into the freezer, he follows you in, then you can quickly backflip out and lock the door and lock him in the freezer.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're the type of person that in your Sims game...
Yeah. Puts them in the pool, then removes the ladder. Yeah.
It's so you can have a haunted house for the next family that moves in.
Yeah. Or you put them in a house and then just remove the doors and then remove the toilet.
Give them a lot of water.
I played a lot of Sims Survivor where basically they had to compete in challenges and then whoever lost died.
Oh, Jesus.
It was fun.
Harsh.
So how about you, Jordan? Any other notes before we rank this thing?
Yeah. Smithers says, what do you see in him?
Yeah.
I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds. And she says, I've been kind of channeling it into art therapy, and she's got all these cross-stitch of it is what it is.
So
and
fucking
I
sad.
fucking hate that phrase because it says nothing. It means nothing. A friend of mine I know that says it all the time, and it pisses me off every single time.
The correct term is it is what it be.
Yeah. Or it's what it's.
It's so asinine. It's the kind of thing that you see on reality competition shows. It reminds me of whenever there's a food cooking show where they're like, well, when you're cooking this dish, if it's good, it's great, but if it's bad, it's not. It's like, of course, that's the fact.
That's the way things work.
Thank you for that. Something weird that I noticed, Homer and Marge can hear Bart in his bedroom, and he can hear them in their bedroom, which is... We've seen what goes on in the Simpson bedroom.
To be fair, all their doors were open at the time.
Yeah.
But also, I fucking hated this scene.
Also, earlier there's a bit where Marge and Smithers are in the kitchen and Homer can hear what Smithers says, but earlier Marge is like, oh yeah, sometimes I think I'm just sticking with him because I have to. It's like, Homer would have heard that.
Yep. Probably he's like, good, I can be complacent because she's never going to leave me.
Or just have Homer think maybe that Smithers is a problem, that Marge won't think these things if he's not there, and then there's your conflict.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you. Better episode.
All right, we've pretty much hit on all my notes now. The Burns killing the last panda in Springfield was a funny joke, but then they doubled down on the visual, which sucked.
Yeah.
Yep.
The briefcase and the...
I didn't even like it as a joke, so...
Did he also kill a panda cub? Is that what he's saying?
Yep.
Because he had a tiny little, hip flask made of a panda?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what kind of person kills a panda and doesn't also kill its cub. It's like, that's what you do. That's the dumb thing.
But if you say, they're so dumb, pandas. They're so clumsy. Always falling off and falling over.
All you need to know is panda is the only animal that won't fuck to save its own species. It wants to die.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it is time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. But maybe if the episode was just meh, you give it a participant. But for the good rankings, there's good, bronze, great, silver, excellent, gold. But for the best of the very best, you give of cubic zirconia, but we're not going to be going anywhere near those rankings today.
Don't tell me what I'm doing.
Well, and I'm going to rank first. Let me show you how it's done. I am actually going to fail this one. It does so many things wrong. The spirit of the Wasteland is to knock out a bunch of participants, but yeah, I can't ignore the fact this episode is just fucked. BT?
Yeah, dead set fail from me as well. There's just so many things that could have been okay if they'd gone in a different direction, but they just ruin every single bit of hope in this. It's amazingly terrible. And just not a number of times I got angry, or they just took an extra bite of a joke that even wasn't good to begin with, and they just dragged it on, and it was so bloated and overdone, and yet still so empty, and yeah, hated it.
Jordan, finish it off.
I'm struggling because I'm trying to think about like what justification I would give for either participant or failure.
Mm-hmm.
Good jokes or good story?
Yeah.
Did it have any of those?
No, it didn't. My thing for participant now is in about 2 weeks, will I be able to state the plot of the show? And that's, if it's no, it's usually a participant. But if it's like, oh, yeah, there was this really awful bit, that's a failure. So I think I'm going to have to give it a failure for this one too.
All right, that will make it a unanimous failure. It will be joining other such unanimous failures as Little Big Girl, which I've done with you, Jordan, the Lisa appropriating Native American heritage.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll also be joining Papa Don't Leech, which we capped off the last Teenage Wasteland with. Where
remember that?
We were so delirious.
Yep.
And full of hate.
Also, The Great Fatsby Part 2, which we gave a unanimous failure in our double special earlier in the year.
Yep.
This deserves to be down here.
Get in the pit, you fucker.
All right, before we venture more into the Wasteland, is that reputation justified?
Is that reputation justified?
Dennis Perkins of the AV Club. What's happening?
Giving it the index finger.
Sorry. We're giving this episode the index finger.
Thank you.
Shout out to Captain Nick, who was also on our last podcast, and we've got plans to bring the boys from Pit Cost back again.
Awesome. That was good fun.
So anyway, old mate Dennis Perkins of the AV Club, the unpredictable Dennis Perkins, gave this episode a B+, which, like, on their scale might be like a shiny bronze, maybe a dull silver. Like around that area.
Dennis.
I like to think it's butt stink plus.
A great contemporary Simpsons writer wants to show us how great The Simpsons still is and how much he or she still loves it. The Last Traction Hero is credited to longtime Simpsons writer-producer Bill Odenkirk, and it's really a good episode of The Simpsons.
Dude, okay, the end of my notes, I literally drew a picture of fire because I wanted to set it on fire.
Odenkirk builds a story around the emotional heart of the characters, finds funny angles on old jokes, and populates his script with delightfully weird touches that make The Last Traction Hero plain funny from start to finish. There's nothing flashy about it. It's just a fine episode of The Simpsons whose virtues appear effortless because of how well it just clicks into place into the show's world.
Would have said it appears effortless because almost no effort was put into it.
I was about to say, there are plenty of statements in there that you could get the truth from if you extracted certain lines, like it finds old jokes. But god damn, Dennis Perkins, is life just a rainbow for that guy and everything is amazing?
Apparently.
We're coming for you, Dennis Perkins.
No, I don't want to hurt him. I just want to know what his secret to eternal bliss is. This man has found nirvana and nothing can touch him.
Oh, maybe it's that plant from that Werner Herzog episode. Maybe his eyes have fallen out, so
But
he
he's
can't see it
completely
properly
happy now.
anymore, and he's just blissed out.
Maybe. Can't prove it's not.
All right, guys. Now, as a fun way to pick the next episode, I am throwing a pen at Jordan right now. Now,
And I caught it.
I have drawn a makeshift dartboard in my notebook. If you can throw the pen, and whatever
hold on.
number it strikes from 1 to 7 will determine which episode we do next.
All right,
Lot
your
right,
clothes. You're not like concerned about your clothes or carpet, are you? Just in case it rebounds.
It's Elliot.
All right. Oh, sick burn. All right. Okay, hold on. I'm going to
He's wearing red. It'll be fine. For listeners at home, he missed completely. Just smacked Elliot in the chest.
right in the tit.
Oh, yeah, nice.
All right.
It's halfway in between.
It's pretty close between 5 and 4, but I'd call that it's 4.
I
would
think
say
that's a 4. Yep.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, now we're going off to season 24's Pulpit Friction. Pulpit Friction.
Pulpit.
Pulpit?
Pulpit Friction.
Pulpit Friction.
And the Last Traction Hero. There's a lot of shins going on.
A lot of movie parodies.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back. And we are back, and we've just passed our second point in the Wasteland, which was season 24, episode 18, Pulpit?
Pulpit, yeah.
Pulpit Friction. First released in April of 2013, it was directed by Chris Clements, written by Bill Odenkirk. In this episode, Springfield is overtaken by bedbugs, but what the fuck ever, there's a new reverend in town, and Homer is appointed as his deacon, and Flanders is pissed about it, I don't know. And in the B story, Marge briefly tries to get her wedding dress back, and Lisa fixes it in an instant. Guys, what'd you think?
So this is what I come to the Wasteland for, some nice peace and quiet you can take a nap through.
Yeah. I felt like I did take a nap because I'm like, why is this guy here? Who is this? What do they have to do? Have we met them before?
Are they famous in some way?
Well, no, that first guy that comes through the door.
The Bing Crosby guy. So, yeah, I don't know how much we've done of him in the index yet, but yeah, this is a HD era new character, the Parson. And yeah, he's very closely modelled off Ben Crosby. And yeah, he has that very lilting way of talking. Remember that Fight Before Christmas? He's I think I pulled out that impression there for like, these cigarettes are like having my voice in your throat.
Singing in your throat.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know who he was.
But, I mean, it doesn't matter because they use the parson to introduce somebody else and then they fuck him off.
I got enough from context, so it was fine.
Yeah. Look, I guess I respect this episode kind of for bringing the bedbugs in a couple of times, and it did relate to the Marge story, but it also just felt like a very dropped plot.
Yeah, a lot of this was just, I wrote very few notes because honestly, it just goes by.
It goes by day.
Yeah.
Do.
I think I wrote a lot of notes, but they were just things that happened, and they're not things that I actually want to talk about.
Yeah, it's one of those stuff happens episodes. Not aggressively bad, just aggressively bland. Jordan, what is a moment from this episode that did stand out to you, for better or worse?
It's more just like little things. It's not like an idea that was bad or good or anything. Like the whole thing was pretty boring. The whole bedbugs thing maybe could have been an interesting plot device, but then it kind of got dropped and it wasn't really... I mean, it did follow through into like, oh, now there's dead bedbugs and we're going to use that in the final kind of payoff, but I don't know, I thought that's where the episode was going, and then it was actually about a new pastor, and then it was about the wedding dress, and I think maybe that's it. It was a lot of disparate things, and...
To be fair, they were both plot lines that were triggered by the bedbugs, so...
This is true. Maybe that's it. The way that they introduced this new guy is like, Reverend Lovejoy's boring, but he's been boring for 24 seasons. Like, he's always... That's his thing. And this guy just drives in on a golf cart and like, I just don't know what to say.
That's all right.
I got two if you want.
Yeah, you go.
BT, what do stick out to you?
Well, I wanted to bring them up because they feel rather pertinent considering what's going on these days. So one was, you don't want to get married, but we woke you up at 6 a.m. so you could watch the royal wedding. It's like, I have a weakness for pomp. I'm like, that explains why people give a shit.
I know,
right? Weakness for pomp.
But then they go, since when? And it's like,
that was dumb. And she has that look of, oh my gosh, I can't believe he doesn't know it's always been that way. It was like,
no.
Yeah.
And the other one I wanted to bring up was, I think we all had that little moment where Bart's made a fort out of the couch cushions, and they're like, okay, we'll be safe from the Nazis in here. Wait, I thought we were the Nazis. Like, dole. Get your shit together, America.
I guess I know there's always been like little pockets of like Nazis, as evidenced by the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
However, it wasn't as such a huge in the public conscience as it was in the last 2 years.
It wasn't as big in the public conscience, and I think it was not given the grounds to thrive that it currently has.
Yeah. So the moment from this episode that stood out to me was Flanders' involvement was forced to begin with.
Yes.
Because it felt like it was meant to be Reverend Lovejoy getting mad at this whole situation.
Yeah.
And then they pivoted and fucked off Lovejoy and made it about Flanders.
Yeah.
And then getting Flanders out of this situation felt very forced. Like, why did Bart have to get him and Flanders arrested?
No reason. Because he needed to convince Milhouse that that's why he didn't want to hang out with Flanders anymore.
No. I thought that was the legitimate thing because, like, they were going to do, like, okay, we've got this scheme to do it.
No,
right?
actually, I think you're right. It just really didn't feel like that.
Okay, so Bart and Flanders are hanging out, and Bart goes, oh, I've got an idea. And then the next thing is Flanders, like, turning him in because he's like, no, you can never do a crime. That's bad. And then Milhouse bails him out. And then he's like, okay, well, I'll do the scheme with Milhouse instead.
But I thought Bart and Flanders were scheming.
I thought the same thing you did, but no, he's right. It is that Flanders just turns on Bart and hands him in.
Oh.
Yeah, the fact that both of us thought the same thing I think proves that it was not set up properly, not delivered properly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And also that's why Bart at the end says, and that's why I'll never do another scheme with Flanders.
That's why I thought it was like he was just saying that to get Milhouse on board, though. It felt so...
No, I thought it was like, I tried and he immediately ratted me out. So, yeah, there's no point ever trying
yeah,
ever
so
again.
if it had been something like, I can't believe that Goody Two-Shoes was such a goody-goody,
Yeah.
and handed me in, something like that.
All right.
Jordan's definitely right, but I agreed with your line of thinking until he pointed it out.
Well, also, Flanders was weirdly aggressive in this episode as well. He was that sort of angry Christian that we're like, this isn't Flanders.
Yeah, but he got some funny lines in it, like songs with clapping, that's not the Christ I know,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Really? It's a funny line or whatever, but from Flanders and his aggression and...
It was maybe delivered a little bit too aggressively, but it's
Yeah.
just more that, no, I like things traditionally.
Yeah, I'd get it from Flanders if it was a matter of he's not referring to the Bible. He's imposing religion onto these other bits of
You have to
bits of
remember,
media.
there are entire sects. I always do that. There are entire sects of Christianity that think that song entirely is evil.
Mm.
So
That's true.
Oh, yeah, there was that stuffy town in Footloose, but Kevin Bacon showed him what for.
Oh, he ejaculated glitter and they all started footloosing everywhere.
Oh, my God.
You've seen that movie. He does. Glitter
From
just
lift-
bursts from nowhere,
Yeah.
from below his nipples. No, look, I'll show you the GIF. It definitely
Yeah,
erupts from below screen,
Okay.
apro of nothing.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so play count. How many times before tonight have you seen this episode?
Death's the once, posps the twice. And the madness begins!
I'm going to have to look up Google Translate, but while I do, Jordan...
I think I'm going to have to come up with 7 more different ways of saying 0. So I'll start with Spanish. Nada.
Yeah, I've definitely seen this episode before. There are things that stick out to me, but I've probably not revisited it since my initial watch. So what about some of the wacky moments in this episode?
It wasn't like wacky, but it was kind of a little bit. Moe's doing a bit of a Monty Python Holy Grail with a bring out your bed.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty
I
cool.
gotta chuckle out of that.
Look, I will say the best gags in the episode probably came from this bedbug thing,
Yeah.
but also it was a mix of things that I didn't like.
I like that Moe has a shotgun with rock salt slugs in it and then uses it to salt his margaritas. It just destroys the glass.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we all laughed out loud at
Yeah.
that joke.
That's
and
pretty good.
Otto just got out of rehab and
Fuck.
oh no, now I'm high on this bedbug fume. Yeah, that was dumb
Yeah,
as shit.
my note was, is Otto Keith Richards?
Yes.
Basically, yes.
Have you ever seen them in the same room together?
Yeah. No, I'm thinking of that Robin Williams joke. He's like, Keith Richards is probably the only guy who could be like, anthrax. All right.
That was a great Bill Hicks bit where it's like, there'll be a nuclear holocaust. The only things left will be cockroaches and Keith Richards.
Yep.
What's going on? Where is everybody? I saw a bright light. I thought we were on.
Yeah.
Another wacky bit. Homer itches and Santa's little helper drinks a beer because they're swapping activities.
Fucking hated this.
I didn't
Yeah.
even see it.
It was very blink and you'll miss it. At the
I blunk.
Bringing it back to the bed bugs at the start, like I said, there was some good material. Like I liked watching the bed bug spread. And even the initial thing where it came from Brooklyn, like I don't know about that New York stereotype.
Well, remember,
No.
this might have been around about the time where there was a big outbreak of bed bugs in New York. So
Oh, okay.
it was a while back and there was a big problem.
And yeah, in that bit as well, there was a line that I cringed at and then I loved, which was the guy going, "Oh, forget about it." And you're like, "Ugh, that old chestnut."
Yeah.
Hey, it's forgot about.
And then I was like, "Fuck you, that was
Okay,
funny."
you got me again.
But
Sorry, I think it's actually forgot about.
yeah.
Yeah, it's forgotten about. Yeah.
So yeah, and the montage with it spreading, like how it started at the pillow fort, and then the
Yeah.
bugs crawl down Jimbo's arm as he's giving Martin a wedgie.
Yep.
But then there was a weird bit in there.
A bit of like the Planet of the Apes, like because they show all
Why?
these little, like the new one, they show like little kind of rectangles with all the different things happening and
Which
how
I feel
it's
like might
spreading.
be a reference I don't quite get. Maybe like
Yeah.
Contagion or something like that.
It looked
Might
really
have
cool
been.
with the map spreading, and it was like snaking across the map, and then the pictures like zooming in. Like I think stylistically that looked really cool.
Yeah.
Then you had what's his name, Caesar,
Caesar.
on like a horse on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
For
Fucking
some
stupid.
reason.
But yeah, the bits I didn't like, Lenny and Carl's thing was dumb.
I never
Hold
remember.
my hand.
All right.
They got enveloped from within their suits, and fucking Frank, man.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
Getting raped by a bear.
All right. Yeah. How do I forget bear rape?
Yeah, so I didn't like that bit. But any other wacky things you guys want to bring up?
The couch gag of skydiving is actually canon for the episode. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
weird. So they just have Maggie jump out of a plane with no parachute
Yeah.
on the trust that her dress would act as a parachute.
And she's confident enough to pull it off.
Also, him is dead because the spring goes directly through his chest and comes bursting
Oh, I
out
thought
the
it was
front of him.
between his legs.
No, it was his chest, wasn't it?
Was it?
I saw it as legs.
I saw
Okay.
his chest, so...
Thanks, Elliot, Editing Bay Elliot, for checking.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Editing Bay Elliot Jay here to say that Beej was right. Yeah, that spring goes through Homer's fucking chest.
Another wacky thing, when the frogs are attacking, I guess you could say, Mo is like through the broken stained glass window. He's like, oh, I'm more frog than Mo. And he starts going, ribbit, ribbit.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't understand the problem with the plague of frogs.
No.
To begin with. They're annoying, I
Toads,
guess.
poisonous frogs, maybe.
I also fucking hated this bit because they had the joke of Mo and Lindsay having like apocalypse sex.
Yeah.
And so,
It's-
like, as the audience, you sort of like, wait, isn't he preoccupied with that now? Like,
I think
why
it's-
did it have to be Mo there? You could have put any character in that
true.
joke. This episode was so forgetful, was annoying.
Yeah. I think we should call it a fuckpocalypse. A fuckalypse.
Snuggleopocalypse.
A fuckalypse. I don't know. I'll work on it. I'll get back to you.
We'll workshop that.
Yeah. More wackiness. Homer's electrocuted himself to death with a monkey prod.
Fuck this bit.
Yeah. Oh, a nose hair trimmer.
I also hated it with Bart doing the bed bugs into his oatmeal.
Yeah.
And then him going, oh, there's oats in this.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Fuck, that was lame.
It was fucked. Like, the whole Marge wedding dress storyline was such a non-issue.
Yeah.
It's missing, and then they go to Krusty, and then all of a sudden Lisa appears, and she's like, I got the solution.
Yeah, pretty much. And for a while there, you feel like it's going to be more of a Lisa thing, when she's like, Marge is like, oh, I wanted to see you get married in that dress one day. So Lisa's like, I'm not going to get married. You'd have maybe a discussion about why, and then maybe Marge, there's something to be done there in terms of a character moment.
Yeah.
And look, Lisa is an intelligent girl, and she's far beyond her years maturity-wise.
Yeah.
And look, she may never get married, and that's her. I mean, well, she will. I mean, we've seen the future. She
Yeah.
does get married.
Yeah.
But they could have had a bit more of a talk about, I don't know, like social mores, I think.
Well, if Lisa was being a bit of a shit about it, maybe, like, if she was imposing her beliefs on Marge, oh, why do you need this stodgy old wedding dress anyway? Like, you know, marriage is a pretty defunct institution, right? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that would have been good.
Yeah, and then have Marge come back with this is a, memento of the day my life changed and I started a family, stuff like that. Things that, bring back that sentiment. Yeah, there's something else to get there. And it feels like that's where they're going for a little bit, then they don't.
Yeah. I don't think this would actually be a good moment. I'm just trying to justify why Lisa actually suddenly has an involvement in retrieving the dress.
Yeah.
And she goes, look, it may not be what I want for myself, but, I still...
It means a lot to you. Yeah.
Exactly.
She obviously knew how much it meant to Marge, and so she was like, yeah. And so I'm going to use this kind of shitty investigative thing.
But yeah, it was so just Lisa's going to go, that couple over there have it. And I mean, there's something nice about Marge going, okay, well, if you're not going to have it, at least it's nice seeing someone use it.
Yeah, that was kind of cute.
But then it just turned into, if I do get married, it's going to be for a green card for a Chinese person.
Chinese dissident.
Yeah, dissident is important in that sentence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Marge goes, we'll have our reception at Wong Fu's.
It feels just mostly like they just didn't have an exit for that scene.
Yeah.
They didn't have an exit. They didn't have an entrance or an exit for this story. It was
Yeah,
fucked.
didn't need to be happening. Oh, I got one more wacky thing really quickly.
Yeah.
They have a plaque on the wall of the church for the bingo riots, and it looks like there are hundreds dead.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's fuck.
That's
You would have heard about that, I thought. Nope. Anyway,
God called all their numbers
Yep.
that day.
that was a pretty good line.
So how about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel the bumps?
Nope. I should have. Okay, a little bit for Marge's. At least it's nice to see someone use it kind of line. There were hints of it. There were, the sounds of the thumbs through the wall, but it wasn't really present.
Yeah, it was just functional.
Even Bart, when he's like kind of pissed that he's lost Homer to the deacon life or whatever, and it's just like, but all he really says is the only cool thing about Homer is he hated church. Now that's gone. It's like, then you wouldn't want to hang out to him if that was the only thing you liked about each other.
And they should have lent harder into Bart, like, losing his prank friend.
Yeah, and that would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like, have it so previously Homer would have been like, boys, we boys, you go on pranking, son, to being, no, you shan't do that, Bartholomew.
Yeah.
Better episode, boom.
Gone really holier than thou.
Yeah.
And-
Also, the relationship between Flanders and Lovejoy has kind of been explored before, where it's kind of like Flanders is the annoying one.
Yeah.
But this one, it was almost, I don't know, I could kind of buy it that Flanders is still traditional, and as much as, Lovejoy doesn't like him, he still wants to see the old ways, but, it didn't really make sense to me.
No, they didn't really set it up with Flanders. Like, they really should have had Flanders trying to, like, alert Lovejoy to this a lot sooner by going something like, hey, Tim, you're losing them, just friend to friend, I prefer your ways, but...
Yeah. It starts with acoustic guitar, and then it leads to clapping, and then
Simpsons did it!
Yeah.
Fucking Lovejoy doing the old I can't remember how to play the song routine, which I don't know if it was funny here. All I could think about was the superior bit where he's playing the entertainer.
Yeah.
Yep.
My note with that was Tim, it's not an anacrusis at the start of that song, because he kept doing like love lifts us up, and it's like, no, it's strum, then love lifts us up where we belong. Anyway,
This is the latest on Anacrusis Watch.
yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da.
It was an Anacrusis crisis today.
Yeah.
There was another Simpsons already did it moment with the frogs as well. Like, yeah,
Yes.
the Plague of Frogs just reminded me of Part versus Australia. So ultimately, though, guys, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Like a lame one, I guess, but no one's really out of character.
Yeah, you got Homer being the deacon, which is a bit of a shift, but I like how they kind of recontextualize religion for him in the pop culture stuff that he would enjoy.
No, even better than that was, well, I'm not one for taking new jobs, but as they say in the flower business, I'm your astronaut.
Yeah,
I
that's pretty
fucking
good.
loved that line.
That was good. I was going to say it felt like a retread of another episode in that it felt familiar, but in a bad way.
That was my other Simpsons did it moment, was this is pretty much a bad version of the Listen Lady plot.
Yeah.
Someone coming in,
Yeah.
reinvigorating the church
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
patrons, and then Tim sort of like, how did I lose them?
Yeah.
And then having to come save the day at the end.
Yeah. So this was just a worse version of that.
Absolutely.
And like Reverend Lovejoy, then being a hot tub salesman also did nothing for me.
Although he was a fucking good salesman. Like, he was pretty good. Although, then again, like, Manjula definitely wanted that hot tub no matter
Apu,
what.
yeah.
And Apu was being such a dick in this scene.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
in all fairness, okay, they have him as a hot tub salesman, and the kind of the crux of that is he doesn't care about the religion enough to want to be back in it. He's just happy doing any job. And what I wanted was something where going back to him actually caring about
Yeah.
the job of being the minister or reverend or whatever it is, because otherwise it just feels like, oh, he's just doing it because that's what he does.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually give a shit.
Yeah, he's been given no incentive to come back. But yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
I mean, if I'm cozy and my feet are warm. And,
Oh, really?
yeah.
I'd make an effort to remove this episode from my television.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I don't think I would.
But does it belong in the wasteland?
Pretty much. This is bland, forgettable, nothing.
Jordan, do you have any anal corners?
Oh, yeah, I do. I have a couple. Homer pulled his parachute cord last, but he then fell on all the others who would have been way up above him by that stage.
Ugh. So the Simpsons are dead. Regardless of spring through the chest, they're dead anyway.
Yeah.
Honestly, what was the plan, though? Where were they supposed to land?
Straight through their house, obviously.
That was
I
the
don't know.
intent.
Yeah.
Maybe on the garden. Maybe they had one of those big targets that they
Maybe.
had to land on. It's Ed Norton, you said, was the character.
Oh, yes, guest star of the episode, Edward Norton is
Yeah.
the... Do anyone call him Edward?
His mother.
Edward Norton. Yeah, Ed Norton. This is not his first time on The Simpsons. He also was in the grifting episode. He was the actor that they hired to play the ruse on Bart and Homer.
I was going to say, at one point he goes, has anyone read Leviticus? And like, just Flanders puts up his hand.
I
He goes,
liked that.
Has anyone seen Meet the Parents? And everyone but Flanders puts up their hand. He goes, introduced a funny side to Robert De Niro. And I'm not here to say call bullshit on that, because Analyze That came out the year before that. And that was, I think, probably a better movie.
Meet the Parents is a pile of shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is... Meet the Parents is one of the reasons that I say Ben Stiller is a fucking crap movie maker. Like, he has been awesome at directing, and I love the Ben Stiller show and all this stuff, but his, like, post-Zoolander career is just filled with most of the base-level shitty comedies that are only just a step above the crap that Adam Sandler puts out.
That's why I didn't mind Secret Life of Walter Mitty, because it wasn't his standard fare, and he kind of had to do some, but it was just still pretty average.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least it was out of his wheelhouse.
Also, I mean, it's Analyze This, not Analyze That. Analyze
I
That
know.
was the sequel. Sorry, my bad.
That's okay.
2 bags equals all the dead bugs in Springfield.
Yeah, considering that Bart had a pretty decent-sized bag from just their laundry.
Yeah. No. Well, unless they're saying that they're that dirty. But, I mean, we saw the numbers and they were crazy high.
Oh, yeah.
They say, there's 2 small spheres and 2 large spheres. And, like, we've seen their butts. They're not spheres.
This was fucking crap. And also the very lazy palport of Oogle.
Yeah.
Like, are Google going to come after The Simpsons? Like, are you really afraid of... Google is a verb. It is a verb. Ah, fuck, I'm so mad right now, guys. Any other anal corners?
It should have been ogle, I just realized, because our Americans, Americans pronounce ogle, even though it's only got 1 G. But hey, that's not for me to talk about.
So the musical moments of this episode, we mentioned Reverend Lovejoy doing the Love Lift Us Up thing, and Day by Day appears like
Day by
fucking 3
Day.
times in this episode.
This is my note about that. It was about, at the start, it's in a montage as Now, I never get this right. Diegenic music is the one that we hear that the actors don't.
Okay.
And the non-diegenic music is the one that actors hear in the show as well. So it starts out as a montage with...
But then it translates into him
And then
having
him actually just singing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, because he's omniscient. Did he hear the montage music and then get it stuck in his head?
Homer is a god.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting that he doesn't like church and then made himself a deacon because he is a god.
He doesn't know he's a god. That's the pivotal
okay.
difference.
Yeah.
Although, the line of, what is a deacon? It's kind of like a sextant or a rector.
Yeah.
I feel like they wanted to just make dirty sounding words
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Editing by Elliot Jay here to say that I'm sorry, Jordan, you were so close, but it's pronounced diegetic music, and also diegetic elements are things that the characters can hear in the fictional world as opposed to non-diegetic music, which is things that we as the audience can hear. But hey, I didn't know that before. You've taught me something new. Anyway, back to the show.
I didn't actually mind the montage of Homer becoming the deacon and starting to make an impact on the town. There wasn't a lot of great material, and it was also sort of bugging me that this is where we see Flanders' sudden shift again. But the problem that I had with the day-by-day thing, look, he sings it again in the episode and does his parody lyrics, and then again over the entire credits, and it was nothing.
Yeah.
I've got 3 kids, one of them's shit, the one's a baby, and one is smart. Like, if someone wrote this, fucking
I thought
hit yourself.
I thought
with
that
a
fourth
brick.
lyric was one of them's maybe not mine or something. And I was like, wait, what did he say?
No,
Probably.
what?
I think
No.
it was the smart line, but I kind of completely misheard it.
So, BT, do you have any other notes?
A joke I liked then didn't like is when they look out the window of the dumpster and there's Mel standing by next to a star that says Mel. Keep
Yeah.
that as a visual joke, but then he goes, some of us can't have dressing rooms. Like, no. Funny, it's just a visual gag.
Yep.
Yeah, I felt someone was too stupid to get that joke. And
They're like, oh, are they going to get that? We better point an arrow at it and underline it a few times.
Yeah.
It's like, no, just leave it. And the other bit I did like was when one of the frogs licks Lenny's eye. He's like, it took my contact. And it licks his other one. He's like, I put 2 in 1.
Yeah.
so, yeah, that was setting me up for like, oh, you're doing the repeating Lenny eye joke,
Yeah.
which, you know, at this point, I was like, but then, yeah, to do that awesome twist on it. And it was like, oh, you put the 2 of them
And
in.
then later you get a POV of him and like
him.
half the screen is blurry.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the other half is super focused. It's really good.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
How about you, Jordan? Any other notes?
Yeah, there was a couple of, I like the twist of Helen Lovejoy's line when they're talking about like who started the bedbug problem. She's like, please, when someone blame the children.
Yeah, nice little twist on that. Although that also led to the, once again, shitting on Cletus and Brandine.
Yeah, but like, we don't even have beds.
Yeah, we sleep in coffins and wash buckets. Yuck.
Yeah.
We're the town hee-haw.
Why doesn't Flanders like it when other people rhyme?
I don't know. It's, again, tying into his weird aggression in this episode.
Yeah. Also, I didn't quite understand why did Homer agree, like what was Homer getting out of being deacon? I know he said like if I can make you religious, then everyone else will follow. But like, what does Homer get out of it?
That's a really good point because, like, again, why is any of this happening, I guess, is the question you can keep coming back to. But why did everybody suddenly turn on the new Reverend? Like, all the references and stuff that he was making to appeal to people, they're sick of all of a sudden.
That bugged me
Yeah.
because they're all like, no, don't talk, do something. Then Reverend Lovejoy shows up and talks.
Yeah.
And he
but
bores them
to
all
be
to
fair,
death.
he bores all the frogs to sleep. But
See, I think this should have been the thing where, like, there's some sort of nefarious plan of the new Reverend, and
Yeah.
Homer, as his right-hand man, becomes aware of it. Just, I don't know, base-level story fucking work to give it a
Yeah.
bit more tension.
It was Deus Ex Lovejoy as well. Like he didn't
Oh,
know that
fucking
all
oath.
of that was happening.
Deus Ex hot tub.
Yeah, to just like roll in. Hey, there's two.
Which is going to be the third Hot Tub Time Machine movie.
And the 4th Deus Ex Machina. Oh, sorry,
Nice.
Crossover.
Deus
Yeah.
Ex game. Yeah.
Yeah, most ambitious crossover event in history.
Yeah, it's a movie and a video game.
I
All
have.
in one.
All right, time for my rapid final note time.
Get ready for rapid notes.
I kind of like when Homer's practicing in the mirror and he actually turns into a bit of a clickbaity deacon.
Oh yeah,
Little
that's
bit.
true.
That's another thing I wish they lent in harder, that maybe they were trying to build up fear in people that they had to go to church, and like maybe that's what the Reverend could have been nefarious about.
Yeah.
That'll be what I changed about the episode. I hated the line that Mole Man took to the bulletin, "I'm mentioned because I'm sick."
Yeah, this is depressing.
Very.
Yeah. If they change that to "I'm in the obituaries again" or something, like I would have been okay.
Actually, yeah, I dig that. That's pretty funny. I loved when Marge couldn't get Maggie to burp, and then Maggie just does it to herself, and then makes Marge burp.
That
Yeah.
was pretty good.
Very cute. Also, like, I kind of liked a lot of the material material around the frog plague, like where it turned into a game of Frogger. I thought was kind of visual good.
Yeah, and Barney was just like floating in the river and they use him as a log.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the insane princess, I actually got a chuckle out of that.
Yep.
Oh, when I first saw Kermit, I was like, oh, this is going to be dumb. But then they have the two puppeteers like run out from behind the thing. I'm like, okay, fine.
Not bad. So, BT, what would you change before we rank this thing?
Just give it some point.
Yeah.
Give us some reason why Lovejoy wants to come back. Give us some reason why Lisa and Marge even have their subplot. Just give us some weight, some depth, some meat.
Give me a reason to stay here before I turn my back around.
Day by day.
Jordan?
Yeah, I want a reason why this new guy is suddenly like, yeah, I'm taking over your church. Like, that's not allowed. The church has a pretty stringent hierarchy. You can't just like come in and be like, I'm going to be a new pastor now. I didn't understand that and why,
It should have been a new church.
Yeah.
Like, a new church opens up, like, even do it as something tacky as the new church next door.
The second church of...
And then you've got a reason for Flanders, like, his whole rant about how their religion started, like, gives it more reason.
And I kind of thought at the end, maybe it's good that they didn't do it, but I thought maybe it was going to be the obvious turn of like, and now those people are wearing that wedding dress, and look, and they're like, oh, at least someone's getting married in it. I thought they're going to be like, can you imagine, like, we got married in the tackiest wedding gear that we could find or something. Like, I thought it was going to be some like shitting on Marge's wedding dress, but it didn't happen.
Oh, and by the way, another anal corner, they inject Patty that she was there on the morning of Homer and Marge's wedding. She was not.
They've changed Homer and Marge's wedding several times.
So fucked.
Was that just, who was filming? I'm guessing maybe it was Selma that was filming the whole thing.
I think it was just a fantasy sequence.
No. She paused it on the TV.
It makes it even worse.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it is time to rank this thing. BT, kick it off.
I'm just participant. It's very ignorable. I will not remember this one. What's there has some promise, but just doesn't do anything with it. But I don't find anything aggressively terrible, so participant.
Jordan?
Yeah, that's a participant fading into dust for me.
Sorry? Oh, you're participating?
Yeah, sorry. I was too smooth and too quiet.
Yeah, look, participant as well. There are parts that get me angry enough, but you know what? In this conversation, I am remembering there is at least a handful of jokes that I really like. So if there was any chance that I was going to give it a failure, it did get even out by those little moments, even though the episode as a whole is a pile of shit. All right, this will average out into being a unanimous participant. This will be joining other such episodes like The President Wore Pearls, the Evita parody we did in the last Wasteland, Prankster Rap, where Bart fucking becomes a hip-hop star or something. I don't remember.
God.
There's something about marrying, the marriage equality episode, and Yellow Subterfuge. We did that with you, didn't we, Jordan? Yeah. Just a big mess of bland. All right, is that reputation justified?
I've already done the theme song. You know you only get one. Just copy-paste if you have to.
I got to
How
see if
about
I
you
can
do it?
I'll do it the opposite way around. Is that reputation justified?
Ooh, the Jordan remix. Robert David Sullivan of the AV Club, I think that's a new one, gave this episode a B. So on their scale, that's like bronze.
It's not too high.
The two things that are still usually enjoyable in the show's 24th season are musical numbers and stories about Springfield under siege.
I want to throw Phil at him.
Stories about Springfield under siege? What?
Phil just rocks up in his door. Ding dong.
I heard you thought that songs were the best part of The Simpsons.
Yes, they are.
No, Dan Castellaneta just singing to himself in a soundproof booth. Best part of The Simpsons.
To be fair, sometimes it's great. Like, I'm shaving my shoulders, getting it all shaved off.
But that's not a song. That's just like a...
We need to get Phil musical number cancelling headphones.
I thought you were going to say
he would love that.
We should re-review the one of Evita with him.
Haha, we've already done it. This was pointless. All right, guys. Now it's time to move on through Wasteland, but we need to find out where we're going. And we throw back to DMBT, LITAF.
I sound like a party drug.
So we are turning to your D6 now.
1.
It's the loneliest number that you'll ever fuck. We're going to...
Is that masturbation?
Probably.
No, he said he I think that's
You fuck the concept of one.
the concept of like monogamy is just boring as fuck to him these days. It's got to be 3 or more.
Yeah. Menage a sunk.
We are going back to season 20 to do Father Knows Worst. We'll be right back. All right, so that's our third stop in the Wasteland done. We just watched season 20, episode 18, Father Knows Worst. I get it. First released in April of 2009, and it was directed by Matthew Nastuk. I have to be careful of that one. It is an anagram of nutsack.
Like Curtis Contact.
Yes, and written by Rob Lazebnik. In this episode, Homer has an injury to his tongue where he's got new taste buds and he becomes a super taster, which leads him to eating food at the school cafeteria because it's bland and flavorless, which leads him to working in the cafeteria, which leads him to being a helicopter parent, and that story happens, and also Marge finds a sauna that was hidden inside the Simpsons' home. Guys, what'd you think?
What happened in it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the context of the viewer at home, we did have dinner between this episode and this current review.
I don't think that would have mattered.
No, I remember my feelings. To be entirely fair to this one, it at least has like a memory and it does stick to its point. Like, even though we go through a few modes for Homer, they do logically flow one to the next.
Yeah.
Once he becomes the helicopter parent, I like a lot of the story. A lot of the jokes don't land. But story-wise and heart-wise, and I think it works reasonably well.
Yeah, but this episode just kind of washed over me personally. I don't know about you guys.
I will say I like super chill Marge.
Mm?
When she's just like spending so much time in the sauna, she's just incredibly relaxed.
Yep.
Everything's like,
Noah.
I like that name, Noah. Just something with a relaxed Marge. It's nice to see.
It's basically like her version of...
newer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was going to say, like, it's being in the sauna is basically her drugs.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
she would never probably take drugs knowingly, but...
But yeah, her muscle relaxing off the sauna, and
Yeah.
I like, Homer's freaking out and talking overtime, and she goes, ha ha, Blabby's building an abbey.
Yeah.
So BT, what is a moment from this episode that stood out to you for better or worse?
I like super chill Marge.
Yeah.
And I like that it's consistent throughout the episode and that it comes back at the end. It's not a huge part, but I like that it's consistent. A lot of the problems we had with the previous ones, they seem to be changing gears a lot, and focus has moved all over the place. Whereas this one, sticks to its guns and sticks to its points, so that's going to be an absolute tick in its favor.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that it comes back at the end, and it's nice to see Marge relax for once, but it still is a bit of a nothing story.
It is nothing. No, I would openly admit that, but...
Yeah. How about you, Jordan? What's a moment for the debate?
Rare.
Well, no, the bit that annoyed me...
Sorry, for a second there we just became Sims.
Yeah. Was it...
Sorry.
Was it like Carly Rae Jepsen or was it Katy Perry or something like recorded their song in Simlish?
I think it
really?
was actually Katy Perry.
Yeah, it might have been like for use in the game.
Yeah.
Shout out to friend of the show.
Yep.
Yeah, she's a big fan since that last episode. When we talked-
Yeah. The thing that Homer did where he's like, oh, well, Lisa's got to be popular, so I'll use this book of basically negging.
Yeah.
He uses it at the bar. Lisa watches it work. And then he uses it against her, and she doesn't pick up on it at all. Like, she's smarter than that. And it really pissed me off where in this one, Homer's like, oh, maybe it's not for you. It's more of a big girl book. And she's like, I'm a big girl. And it's like, come on, Lisa. We know you're better than that. And this is bullshit, and I hate it.
Yeah, it is a little bit... There's always that mix of, yes, she's very smart, but she is still 8.
Yeah.
But,
she's just seen it, like him doing it and use the techniques from the book. And she's still... I don't know. I just felt off.
Yeah, but she is susceptible to her pride.
Yeah.
Or
And pomp.
Yeah. Although I will say with the Lisa story, I don't feel like the resolution was the point of the story. Like, she's just like, oh, it's so much work to keep up being popular. Whereas I felt like they were going for Lisa to feel bad about it. I'd rather be a loner that has no friends rather than someone who has lots of friends who just keeps hurting everybody.
Yeah, and that would have been a lot more of a heartfelt moment because that's her original complaint when Homer's pushing into it.
Yeah.
And then later on she's like, these people just suck.
Yeah.
And I'm better than them.
And she was having fun at her cell phone party, you know, and
Well, it's a cell phone party. It's hard to not have fun.
Yeah.
that was a great line in that. Oh, making your $100 phones look like a $5 toy.
I was like, oh my God, remember when phones were $100? When was the last time you bought a $100 phone?
I need to spend $100 a month just to fucking keep the phone I have.
Yeah.
I spend $100 just to keep it looking like a cheap plastic toy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right, because I give you this sleek glass-made phone, and then you end up having to get, like, bubble wrap fucking...
Pretty much.
Someone wrote the other day, it was like, we keep making phones slimmer and thinner and more sleek, and then we have to buy big, ugly cases
To protect them.
to protect them. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my one as well. It's like fucking...
I get mine out, but I don't want to have to open up the vault.
So yeah, I will say that one last thing about the Lisa story is that it just sort of felt like it was there because Marge was out of action, so Homer's taking care of the kids, but they didn't really know what to do with the Lisa story. Felt like, yeah, all the focus did go to Bart, which I think was shit. I wish they did take a bit away from Bart and give a bit more to Lisa.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think Homer starts helicoptering Bart, and that's more... Helicopter parents are more about the grades, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe there's just more to it than that. But yeah, a more even split might have been fun.
Yeah, but I mean, I really didn't like the bar scene either. That was just...
It was too long.
And Homer's condescending voice just was grating. Oh, I'm sorry. And
When I said everyone, I didn't mean everyone. You understand, right, Mo? Like,
Yeah, we
fuck
didn't
off.
need
That
the
was-
full 30 seconds of Mo crying in his room.
that
Yeah.
was sad.
I know, I thought... my note there is sad Mo is sad.
Yeah.
The line, if he just muttered to himself, if I didn't sell booze, they probably wouldn't even come. Like, if he just muttered that to himself, might have been okay. But instead, he was like crying into his pillow. And
It was hard to watch.
yeah.
So I'll say that the moment from the story that stood out to me was the random chance of events that got Homer into the school. There was a quicker way to do it. Because even like when he does burn his tongue originally, and it's like, oh, this is going to be a big thing. His tongue is out of action.
Yeah.
And then they just, a few weeks later, and it's off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was just a series of things to get home into the school to be a helicopter parent. And it was too many beats.
Yeah, I think you could have easily skipped Homer working in the cafeteria.
Yes.
That did nothing, and that was lame.
That
Yeah.
was a shit joke where he just gets naked just because.
Well, if you think that the episode is going to be about, Bart needs to get his dad out of the cafeteria because he is embarrassing him, but then it's not. It's nothing to do with him embarrassing him later on. It's just about him trying to make him do better at school. And why include that part of the plot then? Just skip that. It seems useless in retrospect.
Yeah, it's almost like Bart's embarrassment was super self-aware and then Bart's actions throughout the rest of the episode aren't. So it does sort of feel like you're getting a sudden shift of Bart's character in this episode.
Yeah.
Play count. How many times before tonight have you seen this episode?
Once or twice.
Zero.
Well done.
Just saying 0 with a lisp.
I think that's...
Is it Spanish? From Barcelona?
Maybe
Barcelona.
it is. Maybe it is. I've already done... Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Look, I've actually seen this episode a bunch. I generally like Season 20, bought the DVDs when they were fast-tracked back in 2010 or whatever, and I guess I just watched this episode in the context of a play-all, and maybe I didn't just realize sort of how nothing it actually is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to speak too far ahead. I don't think it's going to be a failure, but it's definitely not great. So let's talk about some of the wacky moments of this episode.
When Homer gets his tongue out of the cast and tries the lemon lollipop, and his entire face goes... lemon.
did it!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was a kind of a dumb joke, but I think we all got a bit of a chuckle out of it.
Oh, yeah, it was a great visual, and then with Hibbert fucking pulling his
Pulling
face
his
out.
nose out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of wacky, but Noah's mum or whatever is going on all on, and God, that clapping the state names took forever.
Yeah. Alberta, Albania, we get it.
Although I
We
do
get it.
like they chucked Capital City in there.
Yeah, capital city, city, whatever. It doesn't matter.
I don't get it.
The
Because Capital City is in the Simpsons universe. You know, Capital City, the Windy Apple.
It's doesn't America have capitals? Isn't that like one of
there
the
probably is a capital city that is a capital
It's just
city.
called Capital
maybe
City.
maybe not in a state, but maybe there probably is somewhere.
But my thought was they're listing all these actual capital cities, and then they actually included the Simpsons universe capital city.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was actually in like Washington D.C. because the capital.
I really hope not, because that seems completely...
Washington D.C. isn't a state either.
It isn't.
No, it's a
It's an
well,
illusion.
It's a district of Columbia.
district
Should
of the
remember that.
capital.
Yeah.
No, Miss Hoover. Oh, wait, was that in this one?
No, it was in the first one.
Oh, yeah, fuck, who cares? Anyway, my point about the wackiness was, she's like, Homer's like, oh, that's right, I got a backup plan, my little girl.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, she's smart, but how's she going to get anywhere if she's not popular? And there's lead to that montage. But Noah is not lighting anyone's chair on fire at all.
Thank you.
God, he was a little milquetoast, like little ineffectual kid. Just... no one's going to be friends with him. Sorry, Noah, but like you've got a shit mum and she's ruined your life.
No, and it's a dumb point to make when it's very obvious that the child is isolated from other people, and she's like, oh, my popular son. No, he's not. Like, fuck you.
Capital City is a ghost town in Hinsdale County, Colorado, on the Alpine Loop National Scenic Bank County Railway. Capital City was founded in 1877 and once had a population of 400. The founders wanted to become the capital of Colorado. The post office and some buildings and brick kilns remain.
Wow, that's weird, though, man. Like, I just gone all these years thinking that Capital City was just like a shorthand for Washington, D.C.
No.
Because it is the capital. Amazing. But other wacky moments, Homer's whole, like when he actually does the helicopter. What'd you guys think of that?
Dumb? It's dumb.
I liked when he crashed, but when he was yelling Black Hawk Down was annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think any giggle I got out of it was undermined by something annoying, like... You know, he starts helicoptering, and then Bart's like, no, wait, and then it takes so long to slow down. I have the idea of the joke that he has to slow down first, but it just takes so long to do it.
Yeah, that would have even been one where Bart would, if he just leaned over and go, shut up.
Yeah.
I like the visual of his tongue, though.
Yeah.
The other wackiness at the start with the carnival.
Yeah, the truth in boardwalk advertising tip. That was pretty funny.
Fried dough, it'll never leave your system. America's worst snack.
Worst legal food, yeah. And I thought, what about fried beer? And I'm like, oh, wait, that is just dough tipped beer onto and then fried. So, yeah, okay, they got it.
And I really liked the juggling routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wacky, but it was some fun wacky.
Yeah, where stop throwing kids at me.
So he cannonballs himself in.
It's so dumb, but I loved it.
Did not like the next bit.
The kebabs.
Yeah. That first guy, the lamb kebab guy, looked like the Club Kalash
That's what I
guy.
thought, yeah.
And I'm like, is that the same guy? But then, it's like, oh, fire kebab. And
see, I liked the fire kebab line.
Yeah, and I liked Lisa going, Dad, no, and then Bart going, Dad, yes. Yeah. But then he fucking just like
breathes fire on Bart.
Well, yeah, Bart gives him lighter fluid when Homer asked for water, and then so then after that, Homer's strangling Bart and fucking setting him on fire.
He's going, burn, Bart, burn. I'm like, Jesus.
So in the following scene when it's only Homer's tongue that's wrapped up in a cast and Bart's fine, like...
Yeah, Bart is dead, for sure.
Although I really hated where Homer's like, oh, sign my cast, and Bart's like, okay, and writes moron on it. And he's like, is it something complimentary? Sure. And then he runs outside and goes, everyone, look at my compliment. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, and you can hear like Mo and that in the background, and it's like, they were just all on the street at that moment.
Also, previous episode, Simpsons did it with the signing on the cast. Like, we already did this one. Oh, what did you write? I can't tell.
Unintentional theme in the Wasteland tonight. Yeah. Also, Otto seems to be appearing in every one of these episodes. But what was the Otto joke? I really I think I hated it.
Otto is at the model store buying just a whole bunch of glue.
Oh, that.
And then to cover it, he buys a bunch of models and just throws them out.
But why did they could have stopped it. Hey, buddy, you're always buying glue, but never see you buy any models.
Yeah, but then to have him buying a bunch of models, and it was just utterly
But they weren't
pointless.
even joke models. Okay, the last one about Aphrodite Newman with switchable arms or something, but it's just like...
Those exist.
They're
not models,
like,
but they
so
exist.
what? It's just the fucking mascot from Mag Magazine.
I didn't think it was a joke. I was going to say, like, I'm so glad that we found out that the Katy Perry episode is not the first mention of, a side mention of, like, cunnilingus in The Simpsons.
Really?
Because we had one just then. Where it's like his tongue is in a cast, and Dr. Hibbert says to Marge, oh, this may cramp your sex life a little bit.
And
Marge, sweet lady that she is like, oh, no, he'll just write down what he wants me to do.
Yeah, that was so sad.
Yeah.
I mean, is Homer DJ fucking Khalid? Like, what the fuck? What is with these men that won't go down on their women?
I think it was more just Marge didn't get what Hibbert was trying to say, but also Hibbert, like, wow, that's not doctor advice. No. That's like creepy advice.
Yeah, I mean, this joke just shouldn't have been there in the first place because... I don't know, like, am I wrong? Like, to me, it sounds like Marge has never gotten head in her life.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It's like No, Homer only uses his tongue to tell me what he wants. Like
I thought it was
no
more
other.
that just she's so sweet and everything that she just didn't get the euphemism that he was making. But
I mean,
it's quite possible
either
that
one
it's
is
that
possible,
one too.
but
Yeah.
that's what made me really sad. I was like, oh, Marge. Oh, you dear sweet
I reckon
thing.
Homer would be down.
I reckon so too, but
Yeah.
He loves
not,
eating.
not give. I don't get it. But yeah, just from context.
So let's transition into the heart of the episode. So I guess there's a bit of that moment with Lisa, but like I said, the resolution didn't really pay that off. But what did you guys think about the Hart and the Bart storyline?
Heart in the Bart. It was a little bit there. It wasn't fully present, but I do appreciate Bart says we need to be doing these things ourselves. Feels out of character for him. You think he'd enjoy having someone else do everything for him.
Yeah. I like when he pulls the Oscar Wilde quote and you're like, hang on, why would Bart? And then he just leads to Homer.
It's okay, Dad. I saw him too. I actually
saw
really
this.
like that.
That's
the
great.
Ghost of Octo.
I would love to like Inception, like share a dreamscape kind of
Yeah.
thing with someone else. That'd be fun.
Especially if
But
there's ghosts.
yeah.
Oh, be careful. There's an Inception themed episode coming up tonight.
Oh.
yeah.
Yay.
So, yeah, but I don't think the end quite justified the means because I
No.
really hated that dream sequence with Homer and Oscar Wilde and all that.
It just
Anna
kicked on a
Cleves,
little bit
yeah.
too long. And he knew who everyone was.
Yeah.
I like that he just knew, like, I felt like he'd seen some of those Oscar Wilde quotes on, like,
Yeah.
quote a day calendars or whatever, because they were
Sure.
just, like, seemingly out of context quotes. They were just, like, famous Oscar Wilde quotes, and he's like, shut up!
Yeah. There was a
Yeah.
good quote that's saying if Oscar Wilde was alive today, he would just rule Twitter.
Yeah. Yep.
It's really good. There was another Simpsons did it moment with the model building contest where, the obviously broken one was not built by the pair.
Yeah. Idaho.
Yeah.
I had another Simpsons did it.
Yeah?
Oh, I'm so glad I fixed the life of my 2 kids. And Maggie's like, crossing her eyes, and he's like, ooh, who are you, little girl?
That was dumb as shit.
Fuck this bit. Like, poor Maggie. And the joke with Marge about the hot water heaters, that was great where she put, like, the old
Yeah.
one in the roof.
Yeah.
It's like, just 5 more hot water heaters and we get a free hot water heater.
Yeah, but then this roof sagging down to nearly be crushing Maggie was like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
Yeah.
I think the best version of that joke, Maggie one, is and you'll be a good father to Bartholomew, Lisa, and Margaret. Who's, lady, you got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Your
About
youngest
the
daughter. Oh, Maggie. Yeah, I got nothing against Maggie.
Yeah, that's fine. But
Yeah.
who are you, little girl? Shut the fuck
you.
up.
So tell me, guys, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
For the most part, yeah, I think Bart's motivation doesn't really make sense that he wants to do things for himself out of nowhere.
It's a bit weird having him doing that. Today I learnt something sort of
Yeah, yeah.
speech at the end.
And again, Lisa, like, not enjoying being popular, sure, but it feels like it was for the wrong reasons. It's
Yeah.
not, I'm being such a false person. It's just really hard and I don't like these people.
Yeah,
It feels like a copy and pasted version of several other Simpsons versions.
it really does. I keep saying
Simpsons
this. This
episodes.
episode just kind of washed over me. There's nothing completely offensive, and we see a sort of bending of character with Marge fucking relaxing for once, which is
Yeah.
nice. I kind of like how she's motivated to keep it to herself because, if she tells Homer, that'll just lead to him telling Lenny and Carl and Moe who's going to be naked in it.
I actually did quite like that bit. It made a lot of sense.
Let's all go Scandinavian or whatever. Is that what they do in Scandinavia?
Yes.
I guess
Have
so.
you been
yeah.
there?
Yes.
Nice.
Depends how confident you are, I
Well,
think.
they all say they're pro-nudity until I showed up, and then all of a sudden it's not foreigners.
You wear this full body towel, please.
To be fair, it was a very comfy towel.
Yeah, because this does seem like I'm thinking about several episodes where I'm like, oh, they just pulled that plot thread from this one and pulled the plot thread from that one and that one and that one and that one. It
Yeah.
just seems like
Just tried to knit it all together. It didn't quite work.
you liked these, right? Well,
Yeah. So, yes or no, would you watch it again?
I think it'd pass a hangover test, I reckon. This would be one I could, scroll Instagram while I'm watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was just on in the background, I wouldn't go to change it, but it's not one you seek out.
Yeah, if I put this disc on and I hit play all, I might just, go
Well,
through
we
this
know
one.
you have. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this disc starts out with Good, the Sad, and the Drugly as well, which is an episode I love. So
Yeah, is that still our highest ranking HD?
I believe it is.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because for a while it was tied. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's still our highest ranking HD.
I would have enjoyed much more kind of what I said before, where Bart's struggling with Homer embarrassing him at school rather than trying to help him out like has been done several times before.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of Homer working in the cafeteria.
Yep.
Is that what you'd change about the episode?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would just be good segue. Yeah, if they'd just gone with the cafeteria thing, maybe gone with that, I don't know. I still don't think it'd be great, but
You're not aiming for great, just aiming for better.
yeah.
How about you, BT? What would you change?
I think we've already covered it. Just change the motivations that lead to the end. I do like a bit. There's a line from Homer's I can't quite remember where he gets home. He's like, "Oh, I tried to help kids' lives, but all I did was encourage them to find personal development."
You know, they said, tried to fix the kids, and all they did was make rich and rewarding decisions of their own.
Yeah, and so I like that as like a thing that he's trying out, and they ends up accidentally pushing them there by themselves. But just, build on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So have them get to these conclusions a bit more by themselves from Homer over trying.
Yeah, that's a great point to make. Yeah, honestly, I don't think there's that much I'd change. I'd recommend this episode have a rewrite. Just tighten up some of the jokes, fix some of the story problems, remove a couple of the beats that gets Homer to the school.
Yeah.
Like, after his first meal, the whole bland food thing is pretty well dropped. And, I mean, it doesn't need to be kept up or anything. But, also, I think I would have liked to see a bit more of Noah and his mum in this episode and sort of, through them, demonstrate what's wrong about helicopter parenting.
Yeah, because they don't even show... They show, like, Homer starting to do it, but then just inexplicably out of nowhere, every parent is there outside the kids' classrooms, and it's not shown, like, why the spread of this sudden change in...
Yeah, that's a really good point. First of all, it started out as just Noah, and then all of a sudden it's Martin and Uda and everyone.
Yeah.
But does it belong in the Wasteland?
Pretty forgettable and average-ish.
Very bland, like the food at the cafeteria.
Yeah, I'd say this is definitely a school cafeteria mac and cheese of an episode. Any other notes, guys?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So I do like when Lisa's listing off the names of a bunch of different school foods. They have Tidy Joe's and Cream of Steam.
Yeah.
Cream of Steam was good.
That was I got to laugh at that.
But then did you like the follow-up joke to that? Like, who names these things? Oh, it's old 70s sitcom writers.
Weirdly, I liked that they went for the extra bite here and had
I was about to say the same thing. If they just left it at, it's just old comedy writers, that feels like a self-reference.
Yeah.
Because they then threw to the cafeteria, and it's like, the number one thing we had to do on Charles in Charge, make sure that Charles is always in charge.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good idea,
Yeah, it's weird because I don't normally like when they do that and sort of do the joke and then do the cutaway to the ridiculous premise, but this one landed.
Yeah, I would say the cutaway is what saved that bit.
I think it's also because the cutaway isn't then back to Lisa and Homer.
Yeah.
It just pans
we move
across to, lunch lady Doris and Homer.
And it does set up the location of the school cafeteria in the next scene, so it was very fluid.
So we also have the bit we haven't discussed, we talked about over dinner, but not over the actual podcast, which is, help me mayonnaise.
Fucking hell.
And then he just eats a jar of mayonnaise and...
expects his muscle to pop up.
Yeah, so they're doing like the Popeye music and he's sort of kind of doing the whole squeezing the spinach, but instead he's just like pouring the mayonnaise and it just flows out so sickly slow.
So, I didn't like this kind of came out of nowhere, but then I liked that he was expecting like muscles and instead he just kind of clutches his stomach and runs off.
Yeah.
I think I appreciate the misdirect, even though it was completely random. But
I think it was more just the fact that there's no setup to like...
He wasn't even in the kitchen.
No.
No.
And the last bit is when they're going to go buy the model of Westminster Abbey, and he announces it to the whole hobby store, and they're like, oh my, prepare to be frustrated. And then he says, all you have to do is follow the instructions. This is a weird dislike but like bit where he's pulling the push door and then gives up and just kicks out the glass on the bottom and crawls underneath.
I'd say that's another example of where the extra beat saved it.
Like just I can't figure it. I'll just follow the instructions. I can't even follow a door, but then just to break it.
Because to me, no one's going to beat Gary Larson's push-pull gag.
Oh, the School for the Gifted.
Yeah. And the guys, it's perfect.
Midvale School for the Gifted, I think.
Yeah. And just to quickly go back to the mayonnaise bit, it just reminds me of probably my favorite Robot Chicken sketch, where there's this guy at a restaurant and he's just yelling, more butter, more butter, more butter. And someone brings him butter and he just dunks it in mayonnaise and just eats it.
Oh, God.
It's fucking excellent. Jordan, any other notes?
Sorry, I had a couple of anal corners.
Couple of anal corners!
Thank you. There's that room in the basement that's been used for making jerky and everything. Is it like a magic room? Because that's where the sauna seems to be.
Yeah. I don't know if I quite love how Marge discovers it, where she just like dusts and like, oh, it must have been installed by a previous owner.
Especially because it's behind the water heater, of which we've seen she's installed at least 10 of them.
And often isn't in that corner.
Yeah. But also, why were the coals lit?
Yeah, I didn't write that down because Jordan's going to write that down.
Yeah. Anyway, when Noah's mum is like, oh yeah, what's your son doing now?
Yeah.
And he's like snorting the spaghetti in one nostril and out the other.
Yep.
He's got his back to them. There's no way that they could have seen what he was actually doing.
Huh. But also, yeah, Homer goes, oh, yeah, Bart's going to be the next president. And she goes, I don't see many presidents doing that. And it's like, oh.
And he goes, yeah, not many presidents. Maybe LBJ, at the end.
Which is good because, yeah, that stopped me thinking for a moment about Trump pulling spaghetti through his nose.
Yeah.
Which I am sure he's done.
And the only president who can do this.
Like flossing. And the last one was why, like, they're talking
Call
about...
it booger frosting. Sorry.
They talk about like this. That's the model building contest. It's a big. Everyone in the class participating. What are you making, Bart? And then it's just like 5 entrants at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's why is Bart like? Couldn't he have just opted out like 95% of the class?
Yeah, because Krabappel does sell it like it is a mandatory thing for all students to do. But whereas it actually should have been like an extracurricular optional thing.
Makes sense for the helicopter parenting as well.
Yeah.
You're gonna enter this extracurricular activity.
Exactly, yeah. So, again, just rewrite the fucker.
Anyway, no more Anna Corners, but just a couple of other notes.
Couple of other notes.
Why does Homer, when he's like looking for inspiration for the model building, he just like tears off all the other banners?
Yeah, that was weird.
I liked that joke.
But why? I didn't know why he was tearing them off.
Well, because he was like, I need some ideas, an idea for a model for my son to build.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah. And he's just like irrelevant posters that for other things. And yeah, especially the blood drive one.
Yeah, he's
just,
like,
oh, fucking hell, Homer, you idiot. Like, I liked that.
He just sprays his face with ant poison, and the stupid joke of, oh, why do I have to read the labels after I do that? Shut the fuck up.
I agree with you there. Fuck that joke.
Especially seeing this is the second time they've done it, where he's already drank the fuel.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bit where Lisa is like, oh, I've never been called like popular or something, like hectoring sometimes. And I just like
strident.
Yeah, I liked the use of those words, hectoring, strident. Yeah. And despite the ending credits with the a cappella version of the Simpsons theme song, a cappella still sucks.
Take that, singers without instruments.
I mean, it's fine. It's fine, but it's like
the worst version of Doctors Without Borders.
Singers without instruments.
Oh, and what day of Mayo is it?
Oh.
Cinco.
Oh.
Aye.
Fuck you.
So lazy.
It is time to rank this thing. Jordan, your turn to kick it off.
Well, I'm not going to kick it off into the pit of failure.
Mm.
I don't think I like it enough to give it a bronze. No, I think all I can give it is a participant.
Fair enough.
Like I said, I forgot it almost as soon as we finished watching it. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, in the course of this conversation, yeah, there are some jokes that I really like, and there's some stuff that I might even find myself quoting, but just the package as a whole just kind of washes over you in just such a way that is just not satisfying. And so, yeah, I got to give it participant as well. Even though there is a lot that I like, I think this is another one of these episodes that kind of defies our scale because, yeah, it is somewhere between good and okay. So how about you, BT?
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. I could have drifted up to a bronze if they'd landed any of the story points a bit better, or if there'd been a few more jokes that really worked for me. It's really close, and that's what makes me a little bit sad to participate in it, because it is quite close to making it out, but it just doesn't quite get there. So yeah, participant from me.
Well, yeah, looking at other unanimous participants, Fat and the Furriest, the girl who slept too little where Lisa's having trouble sleeping, My Fair Laddie, My Fair Lady. It sort of belongs in amongst it all, but it's...
Yeah, I put it close to Fat and Furriest.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that was another one where we liked a lot of the material in it, but yeah, the package as a whole just wasn't satisfying. All right, is that reputation justified? Nice. Very good.
And now I'll tell you what I told Maddie. You owe me royalties.
Fuck.
Robert Canning of IGN.
Oh, good.
Oh.
What does Rob have to say?
Robert the Soft Touch Canning. Or is it Feather Touch? It is both.
It's both. I like Feather Touch.
Yeah.
23 out of 10.
He gave this episode an 8 out of 10.
For him, that's like spitting in its face.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Father Knows Worst quite a bit. The main story was entertaining and the random jokes throughout the episode added to the quality. All in all, it's tough to complain when the story is solid and the jokes are funny.
Seriously, if you say, I enjoyed the episode quite a bit, 8 out of 10. Do you understand, like, the disconnect between those two statements? What is going on,
Well, I'm pretty
Rob?
sure IGN's scale starts at 6.
Yeah, I know, right? You got to keep those people on side.
Well, honestly, that's why I have our scale the way it is. And because I'm actually, quite a big fan of IGN. I love a lot of the journalists and stuff that work out of there. But my one criticism is that there seems to be nuance with grades 10, 9, 8, and 7. But once we get below 6, it gets really muddy. And, what is honestly the difference between a 1 and a 2?
Very few things ever get that low, though. So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I remember you explaining that, and I'm like, God, that makes so much sense. 4 good, 2 bad. Is it boring or is it awful?
Yeah, to get a 1 or 2, it would have to be functionally broken.
Yeah.
Or really offensive.
Yeah, this game shot my family.
Yeah. This is big rigs over the road racing.
It gives you a virus.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that about does it for that episode. So now we're on our last episode for part 1 of HD Wasteland. BT, do you want to have throw out the dart?
Oh, yeah, sure. You want to bring it up, and I'll try to avoid your face.
Hey.
4 again. All right, guys. We are going to go to season 26 now for our final...
I don't like your face right now. It's worrying me.
You've got this grin on your face
I think this is a good way to end part 1 of The Wasteland, though. This is actually an episode that me and Beach have reviewed before.
Oh, shit.
We set it aside because very early on in the podcast, I decided not to do our double specials anymore because aesthetically it doesn't look great on the index. So this was an episode we've reviewed before. It's bizarre as fuck, and I can't wait to see your reaction, Jordan.
Right.
We're going to take a trip and visit the Sky Police. We'll be back.
I remember this one, you bastard.
All right, we are at the halfway point, which means the final review of HD Wasteland Part 1, and we just watched Season 26, Episode 16, Sky Police. This was first released in March of 2015. It was directed by Rob Oliver, written by Matt Solman. In this episode, it starts out with Sky Police, where Chief Wiggum gets a jetpack and just murders a fuckload of people. But the actual episode proper is about the church group consisting of Marge, Agnes, Ned, the Lovejoys, and Sideshow Mel running a casino, counting cards thing, kind of like the movie 21. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but it seemed to sort of parody a lot of that. Anyway, they're doing this to raise money for the church, which was destroyed by the Sky Police. Guys, what did you think?
I was having a pretty good time by the midpoint, and then it just kind of peters out.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a shame, because I think once the 21 thing gets going, there was some fun to be had, and just kind of didn't do anything with that.
Yeah, look, parts of the episode that stood out to me, I'm just going to say Sky Police. Guys, I fucking hated this.
So bizarre, so stupid.
I thought it was a fucking fever dream from eating a whole family-sized lasagna, but
that would make more sense.
It was
just fucking bizarre.
So bizarre. And, I can handle Chief Wiggum getting a jetpack by mistake, but the amount of people that he kills because of it.
Yep. So Nelson, 2 random graffiti artists who were blended into pulp.
The chopper that he crashes,
Yeah.
and then all the deaths that are probably caused from all the prisoners that he let loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. Bizarre.
I think the worst thing is the writers clearly loved it.
Oh,
they clearly were having so much fun writing Sky Police.
They fucking loved the song. And
I will say the bit I did like is at the very end where Snake runs into a warehouse, comes out in his own jetpack, and they kind of run at each other with jetpacks, and it freeze frames right when they're about to punch.
Yeah.
That bit's good. But yeah, everything else is just so wacky, and it's canonical wacky. It's not you know... Because over-credit stuff you can kind of dismiss as being a joke. But
especially because one of the lines of the lyrics of his own self-written...
Sky Police
theme song is "I'll kill you all, I'm Sky Police," and you're like, "Fuck!"
It's so bizarre, and the fact that they titled this episode after this,
clearly says that this is what they had so much fun creating.
I feel like it was they feel justified in the tie-in where Marge says he's not just some video gamer up in the sky
when she's talking about God.
Pac-Man and Dig Dugs. He's not Sky Police, and I feel like that's why they're see, get it? Because God is Sky Police.
It's just weird. It was a fucking Treehouse of Horror segment in this otherwise normal and kind of good episode.
It's very simple. God can be Sky Police, but Sky Police cannot play God.
Yeah.
I'm tired of law enforcement taking God into their own hands. I may have lost my point.
Fair enough. But the one joke I did like out of it was when he does like ditch the jetpack and it goes to land on the tire fire and it misses and then it goes to jetpack disposal area. I kind of liked that joke. And look, as a way to set up the church getting fried, it's not the worst thing. It's a definite first act deviation, but
Yeah.
it is just too bizarre, and his kill count is way too high. Like, I am trying to work out objectively when it is funny when shows have a kill count, and I think the thing I keep coming back to is if it's just one isolated incident.
Yeah, and you don't see the bloodied, liquefied corpses of two people. Like, the visual is completely different.
Yeah. Oh, the visual is horrifying, and
It's
you go,
like
fuck.
red jam getting like squished around.
Especially then, like, 2 scenes later, Eddie and Lou are like, oh, Chief, that thing's starting to smell a bit. It's like, yeah, it's probably the stench of death.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably
All that bone marrow caught in the turbine is really going to stink after a while.
Oh, and also it was a bad unrolling of the story where he doesn't go on the mission with Eddie and Lou. He stays back and eats lasagna, and then he gets the thing delivered, and then they're suddenly there opening the crate. Like,
Yeah.
I think there is a better joke if
He was going to fly in and fight the sniper that he didn't originally go
Yeah.
to. That's what I thought was going to happen.
way better rewrite.
But there's a weirder moment when he's like, I got to stay here because my wife's having a duvet cover sent to the office and I got to be here to sign for it. And Eddie points a shotgun at him when his back's turned.
Wow.
And Lou is like, no. He's like,
Fuck, I
so they
missed
were
that.
going to shoot him in the back for
Yeah.
being a shitty chief.
How about you, Jordan? What is a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
I think it was the scene that I kind of got a kick out of. Marge comes home and, snuggles with Homer. And then,
Yeah, we're seeing a bit of horny Marge today, aren't we?
yeah. And then Homer's like, ooh, 1 a.m. lovin' and 2 a.m. steak. I got the best marriage. I got the best night marriage ever.
Yeah.
And like, oh, we're doing a review. And like, oh, I have so many questions. And it just begins this whole sequence of him like being really skeptical, but like,
Yeah.
I don't even think that was skeptical. It was just purely showing interest for a change.
yeah.
Which, directly contradicts before when he says something along the lines of, oh, I'm supposed to care. But, I actually liked this, where he's just having a conversation with her and not being a fuckwit for once.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Night Marriage. Was great.
Yeah.
And this isn't on our snuggle schedule.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, everyone out there think, wouldn't you like some 1 a.m. lovin' and some 2 a.m. steak?
It's the dream, man.
Although, yeah, did it mean every night where it had a love heart on it, the day before had a hand with a cross through it? Did you notice that?
So
No,
they're the
I
no
didn't.
touchy days.
Yeah, no masturbating on the day before or snuggling.
Oh, I thought it was just no touching.
No,
Oh.
I figured it was for Homer because it was on his side of the bed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Now I get it.
Got to be ready for those 1 a.m. lovins.
Yep.
I would have thought that would be the time you're like, yeah, get a couple in because then you'll be like, a stud come the next day.
How about you, BT? What's a moment from this episode that sounds out to be a bit worse?
Something about Bratwurst?
Actually, no. I'm going to throw the peak of me having fun in this episode is when they're all like, okay, well, we've hit the casino once, but they won't let us back in. We're going to have to go in disguises. It's got like individual disguises. I actually got some laughs out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I weirdly like goth Reverend Lovejoy.
Yeah.
And then when they bring it back later, when she goes to the house, he's like, we found these costumes have opened up a new expression for us. Does go a bite too far. Where she's like, is that a woman? Invite her in. It's like, nah.
Marge had the appropriate response
They're
there.
immediately throwing up out of camera.
Well, I mean, look, you can't. I mean, it's just because they're usually so holier than thou.
Yeah.
But obviously, yeah, that's strange for them if it was another couple. Then again, wasn't it Helen and Tim that had like the crazy sex on Homer and Marge's mattress?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And they also were the ones doing most of the shopping in the kink store that we saw the other week with Maddie.
Yeah.
So
it's
that's
just,
fine. They're obviously just an exploratory couple.
Yeah.
but I mean, inviting a random stranger that you don't even know who's at the door
Yeah.
in on this is a
I like
little
their name,
different.
Asphodel and Belladonna. Yeah.
Your corpse ride is getting cold.
Isn't that the point? Anyway.
So play count. How many times before tonight have you seen this episode?
At least the ones when we were drunk.
Yep.
Rei, which means 0 in Japanese.
I realized I could make that joke halfway through the word.
Nicely
Yeah.
done.
Like I said before, me and BT actually attempted to review this episode before. Look, there is 3 doubles episodes that I haven't released yet. It's this, it's Papa's Got a Brand New Badge, and The Daughter Also Rises. I do have every intention of having us re-review those episodes to do it with at least 3 people.
I think you need 3 to really cover the bases of opinion.
Exactly. So, I mean, as far as it stands, the rest of the doubles rankings I'm all pretty happy with. Maybe some point in the future, if we feel like doing them again, we might. But yeah, I might release the tapes from our doubles episodes. But yeah, to be honest, we've always had a steady stream of episodes coming out, so I haven't really felt the need, right? But
and it's early days stuff. We're a little more liberal with the booze and
It'd be bonus content for this episode.
The deleted scenes is a whole nother review of the same episode. So how about some of the wacky moments from this episode? Look, we've already pretty much done all that Sky Police had to offer.
It's wacky but gross. Homer's head in that vice.
Oh,
we were all going.
That was awful.
But I
One
loved
eye bulges and
yeah, it's just so uncomfortable, and like they squish him like 3 more times after it's already.
The only thing that made it not completely awful was like at the start of the whole thing, we're like, "You're gonna put my head in vice?" Like, we don't do that. And then later on, when he's being annoying, they're like, "All right, go get the vice." He goes, "I knew you had a vice," and he keeps getting squished. Like, "I knew it, I knew it." And then, just he gets like happy with it because he doesn't feel pain apparently.
Mm-hmm.
He's a god.
Well, he does have that extra layer of fluid around his brain, so he's probably fine. Yeah.
2 quick little magazine gags I liked. One was hat napping that Chief Wiggum was reading.
I love that magazine.
Napping. Yep. And the other, I didn't catch the title, but it was Church Repair magazine, and it was Power to the Steeple.
Power to the Steeple. I got that one too. Okay. That was pretty good. Another one was in the background of Wiggum's office at the very start, before he becomes Sky Police. He had 2 plaques. One was for first place in the pie eating competition, and the next was the Clean Plate Award as well. That's the only 2 awards that he's got up on his wall.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Some weird wacky was that they just break out into the Saluki strut.
What the hell is the Saluki strut?
It is the South Illinois Salukis, are a varsity athletics team represented by the South University Carbondale, whatever.
Look, if it's weird enough that Gil does this in celebration of, and I kind of like the logic here that he goes, okay, well, it wasn't an act of God, this was so we can
and
cover
Lovejoy's like, well, we consider everything to be an act of God, and he's like, well, we're off the hook, way.
So yeah, then they overstepped their celebration with the fucking Suzuki strut.
It was okay to have Gil doing it, but then Homer and Bart just join in.
Yeah, perfectly choreographed as well. Makes no sense. Lame. Yeah, very strange.
Any other whack?
I don't know if it's wacky. It's more disturbing, but Agnes is all, your Uncle Stevie gambled, and then they caught up with him, and he gave himself a shotgun tonsillectomy. It's like, wow, that got dark fast.
Oh, holy fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, hey.
And like, I thought you said he went to
Okinawa or something.
Okinawa, yeah. It's like, I thought I told you to wait in the car.
This joke was shit. It's just more fucking Skinner and Agnes crap.
Yeah, and it's just not a great way to phrase that.
No.
So look, I mean, for this whole Sky Police bit, the rest of the story isn't actually that wacky, guys. But what about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel the bumps?
There's a bit of heart for Marge feeling bad about lying to Homer, but also appreciating that, she probably has to.
Yeah.
She obviously feels conflicted about it, and there's some heart from that. And also, the conclusion is a little bit too much. Everything wraps up really rapidly and quickly, but I do like her praying and saying maybe prayer isn't God listening to us, but it's us admitting to ourselves that we need help and asking that out into the universe. And I like that as a theological ideal.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is proven in psychology that taking a moment of self-reflection is mentally very healthy for you to do, regardless of whether you're praying to a specific God. Like, just taking a moment to just solemnly think is good for you.
Yeah, so I didn't like how everything neatly wraps up immediately after that, but I like that, she takes a moment to solemnly reflect and has this conflict about lying to Homer about it.
The weird thing about it was, though, like, because the background did that thing where it kind of, like, people faded in and out as, like, and it just made me think, like, how long has she been there? And how long did it take the numerous security cameras that would have been looking for her specifically to, like, find out?
And why wouldn't they, like, descend on her? Because...
Yeah.
So why is her head not in a vice? Freaking sexists.
Yeah.
Won't vice a woman.
The other
2018, guys.
The other thing that bugs me about this scene is this was a complete waste of Nathan Fielder, who was the...
Nathan Fielder.
Yeah, Nathan Fielder. Look, and if you have not watched this show, it's even hard to call it a great show because it is awkward.
It's very nuanced. It's very awkward humor, but when it hits, damn, it hits well.
Yeah, it's just such an amazing concept. So yeah, absolutely at home, I recommend wholly to go check out Nathan Fielder, especially the Dumb Starbucks episode.
Either Dumb Starbucks or what's the one where if he doesn't escape from handcuffs within a time limit, he'll be arrested as a sex offender.
Because the machine that'll pull down his pants in front of children. It's fucking excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, and poo-flavored yogurt, that was another one of my favorites.
He was in The Disaster Artist as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the crew on that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Nathan Fielder, I think outside of that show, he is an amazing talent as far as an actor goes. He's got such a completely unique style, and he was just sort of there to deliver plot that didn't really need to be conveyed.
It was very monotone and not exciting.
And that's sort of my problem with the heart of this episode, that it kind of has a couple of different points, again, doesn't quite lean into any of them.
Yeah.
It is trying to make this overarching point about, why not let people count cards? It's within the rules. And, I back that up as well. Fucking either don't have blackjack or let counting cards be a thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they can't prove that you're doing it either.
Yeah.
No.
Like, you just be like, what are we talking about? I'm just guessing.
I'm playing the game. I'm sitting at a table.
Me stupid.
Unless they have, like, ESP devices.
I think if they did, they wouldn't need to be a casino anymore.
Exactly.
That's true.
Ultimately, though, guys, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
When it hits its stride, yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. There is something incredibly charming about these do-gooder churchgoers all sort of breaking a little bad.
Bending a little rules. Bending bad.
Bending bad.
Yeah. It was weird the way that they kind of justified it to themselves, and it was kind of a little bit like they're quite Christian, and yet they kind of just like instantly came around and then started calling it a scheme and being like...
Yeah, they had a very brief bit where they discussed games of chance in the Bible and talked about drawing lots, which did happen a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
happened to lots.
Happened to lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, we're talking about a lot about on this show about the concept of characters bending themselves, not breaking them. And I do think we'd see this a bit. Like, I kind of agree that they did rush into it a bit. But yeah, I enjoyed Ned and Agnes and the Lovejoys and even Sideshow Mel. I usually find him incredibly irritating, but this was good. I can be Sideshow anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like The Simpsons in that they do like to take a hit at other religions often.
Well, that's it. And that's sort of what's so disappointing about this episode, because they're hitting, the religious thing, which is par for the course for The Simpsons. They're doing a pretty good stylistic parody of 21, which is a pretty obscure movie to do a style parody on.
Yeah.
But it just can't be ignored. This whole fucking Sky Police thing is so out of place.
Yeah, the point
So
where
bizarre.
when we were going into this one, the Sky Police bit was the only part I could really remember.
Yeah.
And it's just so disconnected from anything else that happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the episode was called, I don't know, Church Counting Cards, whatever.
That's what I'm trying to say, that I think with my previous point was that I think they tried to tie it in because they were talking about like God and how he is Sky Police.
Yeah.
But it's tenuous.
No,
It's so tenuous.
Yeah.
They were just like, we have the funniest jetpack thing ever. How do we tie it to an episode? It doesn't matter what the rest of the episode is, but Sky Police, guys. Sky Police.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the classic episodes, there were a lot of first act immediate diversions, and, it's sort of about looking at how the story is weaved. And this one, like, even though one did lead to the other, it is a very hard color change on that tableau.
Far too much murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Far too much. That did not feel like The Simpsons.
No.
The tone was just completely different to the rest of the episode.
Yes or no, would you watch it again?
I want to skip the first and the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. Just have that nice little middle chunk.
Yeah.
It's an Oreo of an episode, isn't it?
Yep, twist, lick, dunk.
Actually, given the casino theme, I'd say a Monte Carlo.
Ooh.
That joke was way too smart for me.
But they're
Well
all
done, man.
But they're all good things.
Yeah.
So it has to be more like something else. I don't know.
An
What's a
Oreo-
bread you really hate?
Okay, it's...
Pumpernickel.
You get the
Oh.
cream from an Oreo, but put razor blades either side of it.
Okay.
Maybe not razor blades, like
That'll-
dull razor blades.
Yeah.
Ones that'll hurt, but not going to slice your tongue in half.
Yeah. That will produce enough blood.
Does this episode belong in the Wasteland?
It's so strange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just for the oddity. It's the two-headed scorpion you find in the middle of the desert. You're like, that's fun, but also, what are you?
How the fuck did this happen? Like,
Yeah, I like in the Wasteland that we've come up on, like, the mid-game boss, you know?
Yeah, we just kind of figure it out. You're watching it to learn its movements. You're like, I don't know what you are.
I'm probably going to die a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I'll get the patterns down pat.
Definitely. How about some of the musical moments of this episode?
Sky Police theme.
Sky
Police
Police
theme
theme
song.
song. Fucking hated that.
Yep.
I liked Homer riding the Republican Democrat cats and dogs
Oh,
song
yeah.
for Marge.
It's like it writes itself.
Yeah, and they said Capitol Hill, and I think that's where my wires got
Yeah,
crossed
yeah.
about Capitol.
Capital City.
Oh,
yeah,
and also
Capitol
because
Hill.
the building is the Capitol as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I think I got that crossed. But anyway, yeah, Homer's song and talking about legislation pending. It was great.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. That's some fun Homer singing, yeah.
And yeah, it's one of those things where he still thinks that the alibi was the...
Yeah, I have one question for you, Marge. Why did you give up on the review?
Yeah.
BT, what would you change about this episode?
I would get rid of Sky Police entirely. Find some, or at least speed it up. Cut some of the weird, murdery, Eddie pointing shotguns at Wiggum stuff. Just find some other way to destroy the church. It's not going to be hard. But have it be a Bart prank that goes wrong or something. There's another way to do this.
I could see Sky Police, just that first bit, he's like, you need 40 hours of training, and he just like tries, and it just takes off and slams straight into the church and sets
that'll
it
do
on
it.
fire.
Yep, there we go. Done.
Yeah.
Done and finished. Spend a little bit more time on that ending and getting there because, it doesn't really make sense. Marge walks in this place where they're looking for her,
Yeah.
spends an unknown amount of time praying, and then they're like, because you're praying, people aren't gambling enough. Can you leave? And then we'll give you your husband back. It's like, you can throw her out and still try and get your money from her. That's fine. Also, stealing her husband is illegal. She could have just called the police.
Yeah.
Sky or otherwise. So... One of my early notes about the midpoint is, okay, this is fun, but where's the conflict? And then 2 seconds later, Homer gets taken, like, okay, there it is. But yeah, just hang more on that and resolve it a little bit more weight because it just ended. Have Marge go to the other people in the card counting scheme and just be like, Homer's been taken, we have to help. And they're like, yeah, I'm not going to endanger myself for Homer. Bye.
Yeah.
Then
We got what we wanted.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then it loses that it's not about community. For them, it was about, getting what they needed, and they don't want to be part of this dangerous aspect. Ned would probably still be on board, so keep him in. Give us something else. Conclude it differently.
Yeah, maybe if Homer was at fault of the reason why the church went down and then he avoided prosecution because it was called an act of God even though it was Homer's fault,
Yeah,
then
maybe.
that'd sort of give you some reasons.
Yeah, possibly.
How about you, Jordan? What would you change?
All the stuff that we talked about, but to Apu's backstory, kind of they retconned him a little bit.
Yeah.
I went to MIT, the Mumbai Institute of Tantric Sex, and then I grifted, and then I scammed enough money to go to the real MIT, where I failed.
No, we know
all
he's a
exams
computer
all the
engineer.
time.
And we know he's smart.
Yeah. It just really shit on me.
Yeah,
It really annoyed
It's
me.
shut on my crumpet.
Yeah. God, you can tell it's midway Wasteland because this is one more episode than we usually do.
Yeah.
Also, I would get rid of. It really annoyed me. Again, I knew we talked about them shitting on Hinduism and, whatever that guy is. And I'm a Hindu. But this was it took it one step further. No, we believe that the monkey-headed god, blah, 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 he comes down, he eats them, and I go, oh, okay, I hear it now. Have you heard what Christianity believes? If you break it down into kind of a blurb, everyone believes crazy shit.
Yeah.
Every religion believes stuff, and that's what kind of faith is all about. Is
and obviously,
you believe.
we're a little more inclined to pay attention to what they're doing with the poo now, post the problem with the poo.
Yeah.
But I mean, in this, and about half of it was okay. He was just a guy who knew about counting cards, and then they kind of wrecked it with half of it being about a monkey god who eats the sun.
And then at the very end, the monkey god comes down and gives the thumbs up to Homer, and it's like,
yeah,
why would you appear to him?
He didn't even hear that story.
No.
So obviously this is real. The monkey god ate the sun.
Oh my
It's
god.
canon.
No, it's because Homer is a god and he recognized another god.
He's like, hey, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, I see you on next Monday.
Mr.
I'll
Monkey
see you in the
Mango.
Elysian Fields, buddy.
Yeah.
So, BT, do you have any other notes before we rank this thing?
I do. Let's have a look here. Apu calls them rapture-waiting baby baptizers.
Yeah, I did love that.
I
line.
got a chuckle out of that. Homer's nightcap is 8 beers.
Yeah.
I love that. It was such a good smash cut as well.
Yeah.
I was enjoying my post-dinner nightcap, and it's just, him just...
On the couch,
Yeah.
8 beers. And I also, while I didn't like the Apu bit, I did like that he gets thrown out of the university by the bums Rushatron, and then later on
comes
they
back.
get thrown out of the casino by the bums Rushatron 2.0.
Yeah.
I enjoy a good callback, or even an okay callback.
I liked it as a gag, but unfortunately it was coming through when Homer's big speech, which I felt like undercut the point a bit.
Also, because they got what they wanted, and Homer's like, no, I want you to admit that counting cards is fine. Baseballers can steal bases and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, why are you arguing for this? Why do you even care?
More to the point, unless the thugs explained to Homer that his wife was counting cards, how does he know what's going on?
He still thinks it's a review.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, because Bart and Lisa do come up and he goes,
no, yeah,
Mum's
you're right.
counting cards at the casino.
You're
and-
right. Thank you very much.
I actually really liked their involvement where they have that fight. I'm going to tell her about the tater tots.
No, I am.
Mum, the freezer broke, and then they both start saying it at the same time, like, I hate you.
But then, and Marge plays them and, oh, you're old enough to have a grown-up secret now. And I feel like they're justified in coming to Homer. Look, she told us this thing, but she's not home yet, and we're really afraid. I think that was really good.
Yeah.
Jordan, any other notes?
When he first takes off in the Sky Police jetpack, it reminded me of, True Lies, when he takes off in that VTOL jet, and he like smashes into the police car, and he's like, it's all right, he's all right, he's, it's like riding a bike. It just reminded me of that.
I kind of actually like the animation when he is rolling on the sidewalk, and just the immense heat, and everyone's like, oh.
Yeah. I didn't like that McAllister is like, I've been addicted to Oxy for a while.
Yeah,
Like,
and then holds up Apu.
Yeah,
That was
that's
a bit weird.
really, really
Considering
sad.
the opioid epidemic,
yeah, it's really...
Also, Sea Captain, he's a pirate. He's a captain. He probably plunders
He
all
is
the time.
not a captain. We've proven that he is not a real captain.
Look, we're not even sure how many of his eyes are real.
Yeah,
Because
true.
he's had 2 glass eyes
That's
before.
true.
Yeah.
I did like the J Girls cover band.
Yeah.
as well. That was
Rest
pretty
in
good.
peace, Jay Giles.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever watch
Da, 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 da.
I don't know what anyone's talking about.
It's the centerfold. Da, 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 da.
Did you ever watch what's that show with Rashida Jones where she's the police?
Oh, Angie Tribeca.
Did you ever watch that? Because her partner is called Jay Giles
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I loved the first season of that show because it was like a very wacky show.
Yeah.
I think where they went wrong was trying to introduce continuity into it.
Oh yeah, it needed to be like a parody of a procedural TV show, a police show.
Yeah, it needed to have less memory.
Be like Children's Hospital or something.
Exactly, because like the moment that they introduced overarching story, which for me was where they ruined it because each episode became the same thing.
Yep. Something I found really weird. There's no mention of Marge's like gambling problem in this episode at all.
That's really where I wish they would have gone with it. Like Marge being very aware during this story that she had a gambling problem. This is a tricky area for her. And something I could change. I wish maybe she took it too far.
Yeah,
She was like, we can
push-
do it again. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe she like, oh yeah, we fixed the church, but there's other things we could fix, and like pushes. Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marge's vice is, something never really approached, and not that kind of vice.
Yep. Fair enough.
And that'd give a reason to keep it away from Homer because he has a history and knowing of how much of a gambler she is.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense.
Absolutely. The Benson family, the guys in the background just like constantly eating.
Yeah,
They had
what
the
was this joke?
It had the Benson family reunion, goblin and gambling. So you know how like a lot of American families seem to like you go on a family holiday and you get shirts made?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it was just that, like they're going to the Springfield casino
Just to fucking binge
and
out
just
on the
eat
buffet.
on the buffet. My only anal corner was there's no way that the kids...
Only anal
God, I was trying to
You
like
don't get away.
through it.
Look, I do the Justified theme song once,
Yeah.
but the Jordan theme song every goddamn time.
There's no way that she didn't hear the kids come in squabbling. And like
Yeah.
she's just on the phone like, okay, I'll be there at the casino, plot exposition, 10 p.m. tonight.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
All right, time for my final notes. Whoa,
Notes.
look at those notes. I like how Apu set up the fake casino, the stress test
Yeah.
with the fans and the cigars and the booby waitresses that aren't that attractive, but you can't look away.
I want to know who he got to record the voices for those.
He had that
fresh in your
prep-
drink, darling.
Yeah. I just kind of wish he actually went a bit wackier with it. I would have liked a bit like more animatronic stuff going on. Look, it would have been silly and wacky, but like I just feel like it was a bit too stagnant.
Like them like putting the drink down on the table and like thrusting their cleavage right into Mel's face.
Yeah, if he had like the waitresses bending at the hip or whatever, leaning the boobies over, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's all my notes, guys. And it's time to time. Oh my god,
Time.
we're only halfway through this thing. What am I doing with myself?
Right, we'll make base camp. We'll sing some songs. We'll get refreshed. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we've defeated the mid-boss. All right, guys, it is time to rank this thing. Fuck, does anyone know?
Oh God, I'm torn.
Yeah, me too. I think this has been my favorite so far.
Yeah.
As much as I hate the Sky Police bit, I have some fun on the rest of it. So I'm going to say bronze, but I might blurt out something else. I think it might just make it over that line where I have a good enough time with this one that I think it deserves to be recognized above the participant.
Fair enough, Jordan.
You know what? This reminds me of last episode in that, like, it's fine, but there's just this one outstanding piece of awfulness, like the Katy Perry oral sex thing, where it's just like, wow, you went there, guys.
Yeah.
You really went there. Where it's kind of like, it's not bland enough to be participant for me. Where it's like, it has to be bronze or failure. And I think I'm gonna give it bronze. Like, I mean, it's not too bad. Like, some of the jokes are okay, and it's not. At least the other 3 episodes, there's been times where we've gone, and this one, I don't think there really was one. It was more, what the fuck, and then ha 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 ha. So yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm willing to admit this might actually be just a reactionary rank from you guys, but I am going to give it a participant. I was I was leaning this way anyway, but
to be fair, I'm still debating. I'm looking over my notes trying to find something that would really define which way I want to lean on this one.
Yeah, because honestly, if I was ranking the parts to be, failure first act, bronze, silver maybe in the middle, but then, participant ending. So if you averaged all that out, for me, it'd probably be a participant, but that little glimpse of hope in the middle, like, there's a lot that I really genuinely like about this episode, but it does have its problems, and I do think I'm sort of choosing in that middle bit. There is a lot that I liked, but there is also a lot that I didn't like. I didn't like half the time how they dealt with Apu, and I thought Helen was a bit gross in times, and for me personally, I feel comfortable with my participant.
I feel like the reason I'm going to sit on a bronze is it's a Marge story that stays on Marge. It doesn't become the Homer show. So, like, I was looking at my notes and I was looking at some of the negative points, like, maybe. I'm like, you know what? For the sole fact that they actually stuck to it, I really appreciate that, and I think that's just going to push it over the line.
And even when they did involve Homer, it was still Marge's story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She had to go and rescue him. It wasn't, she gets kidnapped and now Homer to the rescue.
Yeah.
Man, she was such a fox when she was going in that, like, costume and the wig. She looked great.
I do like that it was still a green dress. Though.
Yeah. But she's got, like, the blue hair down there, like, she's like one of 4 people in this town with blue hair, so it's probably the same one.
All right, this will make this episode a dull bronze all around.
I kind of feel like that's right.
Yeah.
If you polished it up, it might be nice and shiny.
Definitely.
At the moment.
Yeah.
So it'll be joining the other episode we reviewed in the Wasteland, Large Marge, where she gets the breast implants.
Roughly on par.
Other episodes are Jazzy and the Pussycats, where Bart becomes a jazz drummer.
Groovy.
In the pocket.
Out of sight.
To Surveil with Love, which is an episode with a storyline that I think is a silver, but then another storyline which I think is a failure. Postcards from the Wedge, Hardly Kirking, Margian Chronicles, where Marge and Lisa
go to Mars.
Starting Mars,
Yeah.
and also Dark Knight Court, which is a bizarre episode.
I really got to watch that.
You do.
Because the main story seems boring, but the second one just seems like a lot of cute fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bart Lisa stuff is garbage, but Mr. Burns
Fruit Batman is surprisingly great.
Fucking excellent. All right, guys, so that about does it for part 1 of the HD Wasteland. We're at the halfway point now. Tune in next week for part 2. We're not going anywhere. This is all taking place in one sitting. So,
So if you like madness, stay tuned to next week.
Yep. So, as a special treat, before we wrap it up for tonight, we're going to roll the dice and figure out what we're starting out with next week. BT, take it away.
4 again.
This will be Puffless from season 27, where Patty and Selma try to quit smoking.
Oh.
Puffless.
Puffless, the magic.
Out of cigarettes and I'm dying for 'em. I'm puffless.
I'd really like smoke and I'm choking and I'm puffless.
Hamilton fans, you know what it's about.
All right, guys. This has been the Wasteland Band. I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's BT Calloway.
Still sane.
And that's Jordan Frost.
I can't tell.
That's half of the mustard in the Wasteland.
Now, let's make base camp, fry up some turtles, and see how far we make it tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. Chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at simpsonsindex on Twitter. Please stay tuned for the bonus scenes.
How's the flute?
It's good.
Flaughty?
I don't know how it'll sound through the mic.
Very nice.
All right.
Can you do do da do da 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 do? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that'll work.
Oh fuck! I forgot me beer.
Where's me point?
Oh, that's a big one.
Ah. What was the other one?
Oh, me plums. That's a big one.
But wait a minute. Where's me point?
Oh, Doctor, you're incorrigible. Which I always used to think was encourageable, but it's incorrigible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
means something different.
Yeah.
But I don't know what.
You can't be encouraged.
I can't be porridge. My life is like porridge. As I forage for meaning.
Nice. How does it feel to be possibly the only person in the world who's ever rhymed porridge with forage?
Lit.
AF? No, sorry, that's what happens after you die. You get to play again in mirror mode. You're now left-handed.
Yeah, she's got legs. She knows how to use them. Kicking stuff. Like dudes in the junk. I don't know.
We are not even 3 episodes in.
I know, the madness has already become.
2 notes that maybe you can help me decipher.
Okay, let's go.
First one, this paper towel.
No.
I don't know what that was. And I've written towel I better make sure I remember that says towel. So I've written over the O and the W quite a lot.
Always remember your towel notes.
All right, the second note, he.
Oh, come on.
He?
Well, yeah, that's, no, I know what you're talking about. This is because Homer's a man.
Ah.
Don't know.
And also, why are all the fucking signs written in Comic Sans? You fucking lazy Simpsons writers. It is
Yeah.
the shittest font.
Whoa.
Sorry, it is a punchline of a font.
There we go.
And there
Yeah.
wasn't even a punchline. It was just,
Yeah,
The
Papyrus
shittest
might
font.
have
Thank you
something
for
to sell
calling me
you.
up on that. That was my aggression. I'm getting ahead of
No,
myself.
that's fair, that's fair.
Sick. All right, let's get into it.
Yeah.
That'll play well in the deleted scenes.
Yay.
You got a fresh sound. It'll play well at this school.